Chapter 125. 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. Especially for Chu Xianglai, who studied medicine, 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. At first, she came with a few recommendation letters and was treated as a special top student by the new school. After assessing her knowledge, she was assigned to study under a famous professor. Chu Xiang did not waste such a good opportunity. In just 2 years, she learned almost all of the professor's skills. The teachers and students in the school all knew that there was a beautiful girl from the East. Her learning speed was terrifying and she was superb at using a scalpel. She was the favorite student of the professors. When the 2 years of exchange ended, everyone was surprised. Did time pass so quickly? This beautiful girl from the East was leaving? Chu Xiang received a lot of passionate confessions. When she walked in the school, there would always be boys who would suddenly appear and stop her to express their love. The most persistent one was her teacher's son, Jensen. "Xiang, there is a masquerade party tonight. Can I invite you to be my female companion, please?" Jensen walked backwards in front of Chu Xiang and put his hands together to make a begging gesture. Chu Xiang smiled and refused. "No, I have to write a thesis tonight." "Oh, another thesis. Is it a task my father gave you?" "Don't worry about him. He is serious and boring. You are only 21 years old. You should be partying with us. How can you be so engrossed in those theses?" "Jensen, I will tell your father what you said." Chu Xiang walked to her car and opened the door to go home. Jensen hurriedly leaned against the window and pulled her. He smiled. "Xiang, the best Xiang in the world. You won't tell my father, right? You know that I admire him the most. He is my idol. What I said just now was nonsense. Please don't tell him. Then don't bother me. I'm leaving now. I wish you a pleasant night. Bye." Chu Xiang rolled up the car window, started the car and left under his gaze. Jensen was 7 years older than her and had already graduated to become a doctor. Usually, Johnson seemed to be very unreliable, but in fact his medical skills were not bad. He specialized in cardiovascular surgery and had performed many surgeries. Because of this, Chu Xiang was willing to communicate with him more. However, it was limited to academic exchanges and nothing else. The paper she was preparing now was very important. She had written it independently and was going to publish it in an academic journal. The reason why it was important was that she had applied for early graduation. Logically speaking, this was impossible, but she had performed well in both domestic and foreign schools. Her strength was obvious to all, and she was the favorite of all the teachers. After she applied for early graduation, the two schools considered it for a period of time and gave her various evaluations. In the end, they agreed to her application, but she had to have outstanding results as a condition for her to graduate. Of course, this eye-catching paper had to be outstanding enough to convince the public. Chu Xiang had chosen to independently publish her paper in one of the top academic journals in the industry. This was an extremely difficult thing to do, and no student had ever done it before. This matter was related to whether she could graduate early and become a doctor. Of course, it was more important than anything else. Chu Xiang sat in front of the computer and began to edit her paper when she got home. There were more than 10 medical books on the desk. The part-time worker had finished cooking and politely called her. "Xiang, it's time to eat." Chu Xiang looked up and smiled at her. "Okay, you can get off work. I'll eat now. Thanks for your hard work, Lucy." "It's okay." The part-time worker cleaned up the kitchen as usual and left. Chu Xiang glanced at the paper and quickly marked a few mistakes. She closed the document and went to the living room to eat. Lucy was a good cook. She could cook both Chinese and Western food. She also cleaned the room very well. Chu Xiang had been using her for 2 years. Of course, her salary was very high. The most important thing was that she took good care of everything and made her comfortable at home. Chu Xiang was eating. She took out her phone and wanted to listen to a song to relax. Just then Xia Yunhui called. She smiled and picked up. "What? Why are you calling me so early?" "I have to be early. It'll be late and you should go to bed later. Why haven't you come back after being abroad for so long?" You're so jet-lagged that I can't have a good chat with you every time I want to. Jia Yunhui complained. She was still complaining about Chu Xiong going abroad after 2 years. Chu Xiong took a sip of fruit juice. How comfortable would it be if I left and let you live alone in the dormitory? If you want to talk to me, just send me a message. I'll reply when I'm not busy. Speaking of this, Xia Yunhui had more to complain about. When are you not busy? My sister, you are really a busy person. Sometimes I can't find you and I can't get through your phone. I thought you were doing something abroad. Fortunately, I met Jason later. At least I know that you're safe. By the way, is Jason still chasing you? Did you promise him? Chu Xiong found it funny. Are you a professional matchmaker or what? You've been trying to introduce boyfriends to me since the first year of university. Now you're worried about foreign friends. Aren't you too dedicated? Tisk, I'm just afraid that you'll be lonely. You're 21 years old. Don't you want to experience the passion of youth? Forget it, forget it. I'm calling you because I want to talk to you. Yesterday, Chu Cheng came to the school to ask for your contact information from the counselor. Haha, guess what? The counselor didn't give it to him. You specifically said that you didn't want to have any contact with him. Chu Cheng is also a weirdo. He actually asked the dormitory manager downstairs to look for me. He kept pestering me to ask where you were coming back. Chushi's health is not good and wants you to go home to take a look. When I wanted to leave, he blocked my way and refused to let me go. Xia Yunhui snorted. I didn't spoil him at that time. I told him to scram back to where he came from. Don't you know what kind of person you are? How can you be so shameless to come to the school? But looking at him, I think Chushi's health is really not good. I don't know if they'll think of ways to find you, so I quickly told you so that you can be mentally prepared. If Xia Yunhui didn't mention it, Chu Xiong would have forgotten that she had a twin sister and that family. She didn't care much and said, "Don't bother. If they harass you again, remember to tell me." Wow, your words are too manly. I can't stand it. If it weren't for Zhengyu, I would definitely fall in love with you. When are you coming back? The exchange students here have already started to take photos everywhere and are preparing to go back. Are you coming back soon? Xia Yunhui asked expectantly. Chu Xiong said regretfully, "Not so soon. I've already applied to graduate early. I plan to do an internship here for 2 years before going back." Xia Yunhui was stunned when she heard this. Then when you come back, won't I have graduated? Probably. There's a very good opportunity here. I don't have to slowly transfer departments and can save a lot of time, so I've decided to come back later. It can also be considered a shortcut. You also work hard. I hope that when I return, I'll have become Dr. Xia. Although Xia Yunhui was disappointed, she also knew that this was a very rare opportunity for Chu Xianglai. It concerned her future, so of course she wouldn't say anything. Instead, she gave Chu Xiong a lot of advice and encouraged Chu Xiong to work hard. After Chu Xiong finished eating, she found Chushi's number and called her. It was currently 7 in the morning in China and Chushi was still sleeping. When she was woken up by the sound of the phone, she felt her heart beat a lot faster. However, when she saw that it was an international call, her eyelids twitched. She had a very strong feeling that it was Chu Xiong calling. She immediately picked up and asked almost anxiously, "Chu Xiong, is that you?" "It's me," Chu Xiong said indifferently. "Why? I heard that your life is coming to an end." Chushi's eyes widened. "Chu Xiong, you called me just to curse me. When did you become so vicious?" Chu Xiong laughed softly. "When? Wasn't it when you tripped me into the water?" "Chushi, judging from your voice, you're very short of breath. Have you been feeling unwell recently?" "That's right. After all, you're already 21 years old. According to my estimation, you only have a year left to live." A year, 365 days, 52 weeks, 12 months. Kiske, that's really short. Chushi's breathing became hurried. "What exactly do you want? Why are you looking for me?" I'm looking for you. Isn't it because you don't abide by the rules and are annoying?" Tell your brother not to ask anymore. I don't plan to return to China. Who knows, maybe when I return in the future, you'll have already become a tombstone. What kind of flowers do you want to receive? Chrysanthemums. Shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Mother Chu rushed into the room and saw Chushi hitting the bed in exasperation. She quickly went forward and hugged her. Cici, calm down. You can't be so emotional. Minister Chu, Feng Jie, quickly come and help. Chu Xiang heard her voice and said to Chushi, Feng Jie? Looks like it's your sister-in-law. How is it? Does she like you? Do you like her? Is your brother still helping you like he used to? Are you still the most important person in the Chu family? That's right, it doesn't matter whether you're important or not. After a year, you won't be a burden to them anymore. After they get rid of you, they can relax and enjoy life. Am I right? Shut up. I'll teach you to shut up. Chu Xiang, why don't you just die? Chushi screamed, her face red, and she fainted before she could catch her breath. Mother Chu didn't even have time to be surprised that Chu Xiang would call her. She was scared half to death by Chushi. Izzy. Minister Chu and Feng Jie ran over in their pajamas. Mother Chu cried, quickly call an ambulance. I don't know what happened between Chu Xiang and Cici. Cici fainted from anger. Chu Xiang. Minister Chu was stunned. His gaze fell on the phone that had fallen on the bed. He grabbed it and turned on the speaker. Chu Xiang, is that you? What happened between you and Cici? Do you know that you made Cici faint from anger? Feng Jie subconsciously looked at Minister Chu. She knew that there was another member of the Chu family, but she had never seen her before. Subconsciously, she wanted to know more. Mrs. Chu was furious when she saw this. Quick, call an ambulance. What are you standing there for? Can your sister wait? Feng Jie hurriedly ran back to her room to call an ambulance. Chu Xiang waited for them to quiet down and smiled. Isn't this our agreement? Every time you come in front of me, I'll provoke Chushi once. Do you still remember that you disturbed my friend's life? Why are you looking for me? Do you think that Chushi is a hindrance and want me to shorten her life? Then you've succeeded. Mother Chu said angrily. You're crazy. She's your sister, not your enemy. Chu Xiang said slowly. In the future, don't forget to stay away from me and the people around me. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the next time I listen to you, it will be Chushi's funeral. Bye. Chu Xiang hung up the phone. The Chu family didn't even have time to scold her. This was the first time they had clashed after the split. It was like Mars colliding with Earth. They really didn't expect that Chu Xiang would be so ruthless. She actually made Chushi faint over the phone. Chushi's current body was far from what it was 2 years ago. When she fainted, it looked like she was already dead. Mother Chu was so anxious that she kept crying and kept asking, why isn't the ambulance here yet? Urge them again. Minister Chu, you're calling your father. What business is there? I don't know what will happen to Cici. Minister Chu scratched his head in annoyance and walked to the side to call Father Chu. He felt powerless in his heart. After Chu Xiang left the country, Chushi had been very anxious. She asked her what was wrong, but she didn't answer. She was always thinking about this and that. The doctor told her to calm down and recuperate, but no matter how the family made Chushi happy and how much they accompanied her, it was difficult for her to be at peace. She often woke up from nightmares and would cry and beg them to find a suitable heart for her. A heart transplant was almost impossible. What could they do? Even if there was a successful match, the other party had to coincidentally die for Chushi to be able to transplant. The chances of that were even worse. Even if they encountered all kinds of opportunities and really succeeded in the transplant, how many years could she live? That was just another round of despair. But they couldn't do it. Chushi also didn't listen to them. She cried and complained that she didn't want to die. She cried until their hearts ached, but they also cried until they couldn't take it anymore. That feeling of powerlessness, that feeling of not being able to help, shrouded them all the time, making them unhappy. In the end, Chushi refused to open her heart, and the result was that her condition worsened. Just like Chu Xiong had said, she wouldn't live past 22 if she thought too much. Now they were very afraid that Chushi would suddenly die because Chushi had lost weight in the past 2 years. Her complexion was very unhealthy, and she looked like a patient. Her body was really getting worse and worse. Chu Qing leaned against the wall and looked at Chushi. He cursed Chu Xiong several times in his heart. Feng Jie walked to his side and looked at Mother Chu. She said, "Was it really your sister who called just now? Why did she do that? Why does she hate Chushi so much?" Chu Qing snorted coldly. "She has bad intentions and treats our family as enemies. She can't wait for us to die. We fed her well and raised her up, but she doesn't remember any kindness at all. She only knows how to complain about this and that. Maybe she's holding it in." Feng Jie said doubtfully, "That's impossible. Haven't we always lived in harmony before? There has to be a reason for this person to suddenly change, right? Why did she change without any reason?" Chu Qing casually mocked. "What could have happened? She fell into the sea herself and accused Chushi of tripping her. She's vicious and poisonous in her bones." Feng Jie wasn't a member of the Chu family. She didn't have the kind of bottomless favoritism towards Chushi. Her first reaction was that Chu Xiong was so determined to cut ties with her family. Perhaps it was because everything she said was true. Otherwise, how could a liar leave her family so stubbornly? Now, she even dared to make Chushi faint so blatantly. The more she looked at it, the more it seemed that the Chu family had trusted Chushi wrongly. Chu Cheng saw that she didn't say anything and frowned. "What are you thinking? Sisi is my sister. Chu Xiong has long cut ties with her family. She's not part of the Chu family. Don't say anything you shouldn't say." "I know." Feng Jie heard that the ambulance had arrived and pushed Chu Qing over to help. She stayed a few steps behind and didn't move forward. This sister-in-law was precious. She didn't want to be associated with her. Was a patient so easy to serve? If there was even the slightest mistake, it would be her fault. It wasn't worth it. Besides, she had a lot of doubts about this sister-in-law now. They didn't get along well, so she was even more unwilling to help take care of her. Chushi entered the intensive care unit again. When she woke up, she didn't feel unfamiliar because she was even more familiar with this place than the school. Even the air here seemed to be telling her that she wouldn't live for long. She was about to die. Mother Chu held her hand and cried, "Sisi, you must control your emotions in the future. You can't be so agitated anymore. You're going to scare me to death." Chushi turned around and saw Mother Chu in a sterile gown. Father Chu, Chu Cheng, and Feng Jie were looking at her through the glass window. She couldn't help but think of Chu Xiong's words. They all despised her for being a burden. After Feng Jie married into the Chu family, she would give birth to the next generation of the Chu family. She would no longer be the focus of the Chu family, and Chu Cheng would no longer dote on her as much as before. A year later, if she died, they would continue to live happily. They would even be relaxed and happy without a burden. Why was it that everyone was fine except for her? Why was Chu Xiong able to provoke her without restraint, but she could only lie on the hospital bed without even the strength to speak? Why was she so unhappy but they still wanted to be happy? At this moment, it was as if everyone had changed in Chushi's eyes. They were no longer her family members who loved and doted on her, but enemies who despised her. Chushi held Mother Chu's hand and said weakly, "Mother, I want to live. Save me." Mother Chu's tears suddenly burst out. After returning home from the hospital, Mother Chu solemnly said to the whole family, "We must save Sisi, we must. No matter what the price is, we must cure her. We are looking for good doctors and suitable hearts all over the country and the world. Isn't there a black market for this kind of business? Let's cure Sisi. We can't let her suffer like this anymore." Feng Jie's eyes widened in disbelief. "Mother, what are you talking about? What black market? It's illegal to buy and sell such things. Then what can you do?" Mother Chu was about to break down. "Do you think I want to? If there was a way, I wouldn't have thought of this. But what else do we have? Cece's health is getting worse and worse. She can't wait much longer. We have to think of a way as soon as possible. Father Chu remained silent. Chu Cheng was very frustrated, but in the end, the two of them agreed with Mother Chu's idea. Chushi was the princess they had raised. Were they going to give up on her? Then what kind of people would they be? Feng Jie endured until she returned to her room before exploding. What are you thinking? Breaking the law for Chushi? What if you get caught? What if something happens to you? Have you thought about this? Your mother even urged us to have a baby. How can we have one? Are you born to be his aunt's cow or horse? Chu Cheng said angrily. What are you talking about? What do you mean by being a cow or a horse? Isn't that so? Then tell me your whole family revolves around Chushi. How much would a heart transplant cost? How much would a heart from the black market cost? You guys are going bankrupt just to throw money at Chushi. Then what about our children? Born with nothing to eat. I'm telling you, Chu Cheng, I won't give birth to this child. I'll go back to my mother's house. You can do whatever you want. Feng Jie really did it. She packed her things and left. This was the first time they had quarreled so fiercely. He never thought that it would be because of Chushi. Chu Cheng used to be a siscon and doted on Chushi the most. But now that Feng Jie was making such a fuss, he couldn't help but think, isn't Chushi the kindest and most sensible person? Why was she causing him so much trouble now? Why hadn't Chushi thought about what to do with her son? Some things were afraid of having a beginning. Often once it started there would be no end. Chu Cheng was the same with Chushi. A hole had been pried open in the love between siblings, and from then on, this hole became bigger and bigger. The Chu family started to do their best to extend Chushi's life, and the conflicts between them and Feng Jie also increased. This kind of life of running around to seek treatment made everyone in the Chu family physically and mentally exhausted. It was very torturous. Chushi had always harbored evil intentions towards Chu Xiong's heart. She viciously thought, if Chu Xiong's heart became hers, would Chu Xiong die with grievances? Just thinking about it was very exciting. If this could come true, then she would have taken revenge for all her grudges. From time to time she wanted her family to ask Chu Xiong to come back. She used all kinds of reasons, but the Chu family now hated Chu Xiong very much and were very afraid of her. How would they dare to ask Chu Xiong to come back? What if Chu Xiong angered Chushi to death? They felt that Chu Xiong was like a lunatic who could really do anything. Now, even if Chu Xiong was willing to come back, they would definitely not agree. The Chu family's lives were in an abyss of suffering, and Chu Xiong had successfully published her thesis, causing the doctors in the industry to exclaim in admiration. What she published was not the kind that followed her mentor's signature, but a thesis that she published independently. All the points and data in the thesis were her own. In other words, she was already more outstanding than most people, and no one could hide her brilliance. How glorious was it for a 21-year-old medical student to publish such a thesis? All the major media in the country reported this matter. The Chu family had always been paying attention to medical news, so naturally, they knew about it immediately. When they saw Chu Xiong's name, they only felt that it was too much of a coincidence. But when they saw Chu Xiong's photo on the television news, they were completely shocked. This was their Chu Xiong. Even if she became beautiful and had a temperament, she was still their Chu Xiong. How did she become so famous? How did an exchange student in a university cause such a big scene? What rising star of the medical world, the future light of the medical world? Were all these things Chu Xiong? When Chushi saw the news, not only was she shocked, but jealousy gnawed at her heart like a leech. They were twins, so why was Chu Xiong so dazzling? Could she only count the days and wait for death? Twins should be the same in everything, so why was Chu Xiong better than her in everything? Moreover, Chu Xiong's thesis was about heart disease. This was like a huge irony. She was in abnormal pain because of heart disease, but Chu Xiong was in the limelight with her thesis. The smile on Chu Xiong's photo on the television seemed to be mocking her for overestimating her own abilities in the past. What was the use of bullying Chu Xiang for 18 years? Now she was the only one who was about to die. Chu Xiang's life would only get better and better. The only person in their family who was happy was probably Feng Jie. Although she had never seen Chu Xiang in her mind, the family was still connected. No matter how big the trouble was, they would still find a chance to reconcile in the end. Chu Xiang was one of her aunts. She was so awesome that she could brag about it for the rest of her life. In addition, Chu Xiang was a medical student. If she returned to China in the future and became a doctor, then they would feel at ease with a doctor in their family. Even her friends and family could benefit from it. How great was this? However, every time she mentioned Chu Xiang to Chu Cheng would quarrel with her. Feng Jie felt that Chu Cheng's brain was not good, and Chu Cheng felt that Feng Jie was unreasonable. The relationship between the husband and wife became worse and worse, and the plan to have children was indefinitely put on hold. However, no matter how much this incident caused the Chu family, it did not affect Chu Xiang, who was abroad. She was free and easy abroad and successfully graduated with a doctor's license. The opportunity she had was that she accidentally saved an important person. At that time, she not only used Western methods, but also some methods of Chinese medicine to perform first aid. This person knew her medical skills the best, or he had a strong sense of trust in her medical skills. He only believed that she could cure him by performing an operation. Chu Xiang's opportunity was to perform a cardiac surgery for him personally. In order to increase the success rate of Chu Xiang's operation, the people around this person naturally could not let her do it directly, so they arranged for her to be exposed to more operations of the same type to train her first. This was definitely a shortcut for Chu Xianglai, which saved her a lot of steps from a medical student to a doctor and then to a chief surgeon. Of course, she was not afraid. After all, she was proficient in Chinese medicine and could help with aura. There was always a way to complete the operation well. In this way, Chu Xiang began her career as a doctor. Unlike other doctors, she was very busy from the beginning. There were always opportunities for her to enter the operating room. From the beginning, she was an assistant doctor to a chief surgeon. She had been skillful in the operating room. She could calmly analyze problems and make correct judgments. This kind of practice and training was particularly precious. No one else had such treatment. Chu Xiang knew how to cherish opportunities very well. She made progress time after time, and the speed of her progress was amazing. When it was time for Chu Xiang to operate on an important patient, she was already confident that she would be able to perform a successful operation calmly. There must be a return on investment. A doctor who saved a life would also be particularly favored by important people. She became the benefactor of an important person. This operation alone was enough to make her famous. More and more people began to ask her to perform operations. She also smoothly became recognized in the industry as Dr. Chu. Chu Xiang never let go of any opportunity. As long as someone could let her learn something, she would definitely learn all the professional knowledge that person had. After leaving school, she came into contact with more profound knowledge. Her growth also began to soar like a rocket. At an amazing speed, she established her own reputation. Every time Chu Xiang went home, she would practice the simulation operation again and again. Anyway, she had Reiki to nourish her body, so she was not afraid of being tired. This kind of monstrous improvement in strength made her internationally famous in just 2 years, and she became known as Dr. Chu. The articles she published and the successful operations she performed were not enough for people to brag about. Her greatest achievement was that she had overcome the world's problems in heart disease and brought good news to heart disease patients all over the world. Although she was the only one who could treat such a complicated heart disease problem, and only she could perform the operation successfully, she had been studying and working to promote the treatment method. This was a very long process, and it could not be rushed. Chu Xiang's nationality had never changed. It was also the glory of the country to make such a great contribution. The government noticed her and asked her to return to China. The foreign countries also wanted to keep Chu Xiang as a talent. They had been trying their best to persuade her and offered her very good conditions. Of course, Chu Xiang had to return to China. She had stayed here before only to learn foreign medical skills. It just so happened that Xia Yunhui had graduated from university and was about to marry Zheng Yu. Chu Xiang simply asked for leave to return to China to attend their wedding and relax. Xia Yunhui cried as soon as she saw her. She ran forward and hugged her. "You have no conscience. You went abroad for so long and didn't come back. It's been 4 years. It's been too long." Chu Xiang smiled and said, "Aren't I back now? I came back specially to attend your wedding. Are you touched?" Touched. "Hi, how are you?" Xia Yunhui looked up and saw a handsome foreign man. She was stunned. "Who is this?" "Jason." Chu Xiang introduced them and said helplessly, "Jason took a long vacation. When he knew that I was back, he insisted on coming to play." Jason smiled. "Xiang, I don't just want to play. I also want to see the scenery in China and the local customs." Xia Yunhui heard that he knew a few idioms and couldn't help but laugh. Xiang, did you teach him idioms? He learned the language well. It's quite standard." Chu Xiang shook her head. "I don't have time for that. He learned it because he likes it. How have you been these few years? Have you been doing well?" Xia Yunhui smiled and held her arm. She talked to her happily like before. "I'm doing okay, but I definitely can't compare to you. If I go out and tell people that I'm Chu Xiang's best friend, there will definitely be a lot of people who will be jealous and hate me. By the way, you weren't seen here, right? The news of your return has been reported. Many reporters are watching you now. Don't worry. I was very careful when I came over. And I've asked my assistant to negotiate with them. I'll give them time to interview me so that they won't chase after me." Chu Xiang's name represented a miracle, and a very great miracle. Any medical problem would be cheered by the whole world, so it wasn't strange that Chu Xiang received such treatment. She was only 23 years old, young and beautiful, which added a different kind of legend to her. The media reported so the Chu family naturally knew about it. What made them excited was that Chu Xiang's problem was the key to curing Chushi. Previously, there were doctors who shook their heads and sighed to Chushi. If Chu Xiang was willing to operate on her, the success rate of her recovery would be at least 80%. Chu Xiang was now Chushi's life-saving medicine. The family was excited. After calming down, they thought, "Who will go and find Chu Xiang?" The whole family looked at each other. No one was willing to do it. Chu Xiang had broken off with them for 5 years. They had become so unfamiliar with each other that when they saw Chu Xiang on the news, they didn't dare to look at her. Chu Xiang's status was much higher than theirs. If it weren't for the fact that they were related by blood, a doctor of Chu Xiang's level would definitely be beyond their reach. In the end, Father Chu said, "Chu Cheng, go and find her. No matter what, she is still a member of the Chu family. Since she can save Cece's life, she can't not save her." Feng Jie said, "We haven't contacted each other for so long. Shouldn't you consider a gentler attitude? Why don't I go with Chu Cheng? He doesn't know how to speak. Don't make Chu Xiang angry." Mother Chu frowned and looked at her. "Saving a life is such a big thing. Do we have to beg her? If she doesn't save her, I'll expose her to the media and let everyone see what a vicious thing she is. How can she be a doctor? She doesn't have any kindness at all. Stop arguing. I don't want you to be in such a difficult position because of me. I don't want you to see Chu Xiang's face. That's it. Don't worry about me." Chushi retreated in order to advance. After she finished speaking, she went back to her room as if she was very uncomfortable. Feng Jie turned her head away in disdain. It was meaningless to play this kind of trick too much. She could see it clearly. The 3 people of the Chu family were blind. After so many years, they still couldn't see what kind of person Chushi was. Chushi was also good at pretending. This time they had to think of a way to charge and break through the enemy lines. Now, Feng Jie was only glad that they didn't find a matching heart in the black market. Otherwise, the family would have gone bankrupt. Chushi's body had become worse in the past 2 years. She didn't have much vitality left. If it weren't for the Chu family going around looking for famous doctors to nurse her body back to health, she might not have lived to the age of 23. She herself had been holding on very hard, but she would never give up. Now she had finally waited. Chu Xiang could cure her illness. Chu Xiang had even returned to the country. She would definitely be able to live well. Chu Shi waited for a few days full of anticipation. Who knew that the Chu family would repeatedly hit a wall? They couldn't see Chu Xiang no matter how hard they tried. They didn't even have a chance to speak to Chu Xiang. Only then did they feel the huge gap between them. For a moment they were actually at a loss. Chu Shi was angry and uncomfortable. While they were upset, she quietly left the house. She walked aimlessly on the streets. The people on the streets were in a hurry. Everyone was healthier than her. She felt that they were an eyesore. She didn't walk fast. Slowly, she kept walking along the street. Her mind was full of how to get Chu Xiang to save her. When she crossed the road, she didn't notice that she had walked too early. A car came over and almost hit her. She was so frightened that she fell to the ground. Her heart was beating fast. The discomfort brought by the shock came in waves, making her feel as if her vision was turning black. Seeing this, a man quickly helped her to lean against the wall and asked her a few questions to ease her discomfort. Chu Shi looked at the man and inexplicably blushed a little. She smiled and said, "Thank you for helping me. May I know your name?" The man smiled and said, "Me? My name is Jensen. Is your heart not good? Then you should pay more attention to taking care of yourself. It's best if you don't go out alone again." Chu Shi nodded. Can you tell me your phone number? I want to thank you properly. My parents will also thank you if they know." The man waved his hand. "No need, Jensen." Chu Shi heard a familiar voice. She raised her head and saw Chu Xiang behind Jensen. Her expression instantly changed. Chapter 126. When Jensen saw Chu Xiang, he got up to greet her. "Xiang, why are you here? There are so many cars on the road. You can just wait for me on the other side." "I saw a patient, so I came to take a look." Chu Xiang walked to his side and saw the skinny girl. She tilted her head and asked curiously, "Have we met somewhere before?" Jensen smiled and said, "This girl looks a little like you. That's why I noticed her just now." "Xiang, do you think so too? Heart disease and looks alike." Chu Xiang instantly thought of Chu Shi's identity. At the same time, Chu Shi sneered and stood up with the help of the wall. "Chu Xiang, do you have to humiliate me like this? We are twins. Even if we haven't seen each other for 5 years, you can't have forgotten what you look like, right?" "Twins?" Jensen looked at them in shock and disbelief. "How is that possible? The two of you are so different. Is this true?" Chu Xiang put her hands in the pockets of her windbreaker and smiled. "I've already cut ties with them. They are just strangers. Let's go." Chu Xiang turned to leave, but Chu Shi grabbed her and stared at her. "You can't go. You operated on me. I know you can cure me. You can cure me." Chu Shi's body was very weak. Chu Xiang pulled her hand away without much effort and took 2 steps back. "Why should I cure you? You are my sister. Why won't you cure me?" Chu Shi's eyes widened. Because she was too thin, her features were a little distorted. She said in disbelief, "You won't save me. Are you going to watch me die without doing anything? I am your biological sister. We are twins from the same mother. We are the closest people in the world, aren't we? If you can cure me, you have to cure me." Chu Xiang shook her head gently. "Well." She smiled and said to Chu Shi, "Are you angry? Do you hate me very much? I am the only one in the world who can save you, but I will never save you. Enjoy your remaining time." Chu Xiang turned around and left. Jensen hurriedly followed after her, only to hear Chu Xiang shout angrily, "You owe me. You're the one who made me like this. You have to operate on me. You owe me this." Chu Xiang ignored her. She clutched her chest and chased after her. Panting, she softened her voice and sobbed, Save me, please save me. Chu Xiang, sister, I'm sorry, I know I'm wrong, please forgive me, please save me, I beg you. Jensen looked at Chuxi curiously many times, but he didn't say a word. Seeing Chu Xiang get into the car, she also got into the car. Keeping silent was golden. Chuxi ran slowly, and before she could catch up to the car, Chu Xiang had already driven the car away. Chuxi anxiously chased after her with all her might. Seeing that she really couldn't catch up, she used all the strength in her body to curse loudly. Chu Xiang, you'll die a horrible death. Go to hell. Jensen frowned and glanced at Chuxi from the rearview mirror. Is she really your twin? Her character is so bad that she actually cursed you. No wonder you don't interact with her. Is there anyone else in your family? Chu Xiang looked ahead as she drove and said casually, You're too nosy. Just treat me as an orphan. I don't have any relatives. Okay, understand. Jensen made an okay gesture. Although he was curious, he didn't ask anymore. He only said, That girl just now didn't look like you at all. Looks like she's really sick and has lost her face. Jensen looked seriously at Chu Xiang's side profile and nodded. You're still the prettiest. Very, very pretty. Foreigners always like to praise people so directly. Chu Xiang was used to it and smiled as a response. This time when she returned to the country, an old leader who often appeared in the news asked her to operate on him. There was a lot of work to prepare, and there were also reporters watching her. In fact, she was always very busy. It was rare for her to come out for a meal, but she didn't expect to meet Chuxi. This might be an inexplicable bond between twins, but the original owner was already dead. Of course, she couldn't save the murderer. The reason why she was able to solve the problem of Chuxi's heart disease was because the original owner had done more research on it. She continued to study it. Now, Chuxi was probably in greater despair, right? That was good. Everything was her own fault, wasn't it? Chuxi returned home in a daze. The Chu family was crazy with anxiety. Feng Jie glanced at her and said unhappily, If you're not well, don't go out and wander around. Is it fun to let the family find you? We almost went to the police. Mother Chu shouted, Why are you so talkative? Are you tired? Can't you see that Cici is uncomfortable? Feng Jie sneered. She's uncomfortable. I see that everyone in the family is uncomfortable. I've really had enough of you all. Feng Jie turned and ran back to her room, slamming the door with all her might. The sound made everyone frown. Chu Cheng sighed tiredly. He couldn't help but feel that Chuxi was too insensible. He got up and said, Cici, if there's nothing else, rest early. I still have work to do. I'll go back to my room first. Father Chu nodded, indicating that his work was important, and let him go. Chuxi suddenly lowered her head. I saw Chu Xiang. Chu Qing immediately stopped and said in disbelief. What? You saw Chu Xiang? Is it true? The staff didn't let us in at all. How did you do it? Chuxi looked at the carpet blankly and said in a low voice. I met her on the road. I begged her to save me, to perform surgery for me. What? She would never save me. What? Mother Chu exclaimed, feeling dizzy. How dare she? She didn't even save her own sister. What was she thinking? Chu Cheng, quickly think of a way. You must let her save your sister. What kind of attitude is this? Why is she so vicious? How did I give birth to such a thing? Father Chu frowned and said in a low voice. Okay, stop crying. It's annoying. Think of a way. We've tried everything. We can't even see Chu Xiang's face. How can we let her save Cici? Chu Cheng sat down again and wiped his face. Now Chu Xiang is Cici's only hope. We've looked for organs, but there's no suitable one. Cici's body is now. She can't keep waiting like this. Unless it's a last resort, we shouldn't even consider changing organs. The success rate is too low. It's a good thing that Chu Xiang has this ability, but I don't know what's wrong with her. She just treats us as enemies. I think she wants something to happen to Cici as soon as possible. What can we do? Mother Chu cried. This won't do. Even if we force her, we have to let her save Cece. Let's go to her place and beg. I'll kneel on the ground and beg. Let's see if she's shameless. She's so famous now. She can't let her own mother kneel outside, right? She will definitely save Cece. Mother, we don't even know where she lives. After looking for her last time, she changed her place. How can we beg her? Chu Qing thought of the scene of Mother Chu kneeling and begging and felt a headache. What kind of solution was this? If the media exposed it, how could he work in the company in the future? However, Chu Shi heard hope. She held Mother Chu's hand. Mother, if we can't find sister, we can find the media. If it's on the news, sister will definitely see it, right? You don't have to put down your pride. I'll go and beg her. I'll beg her to save me. No matter what she asks me to do, even if I have to be her slave for the rest of my life, I want to live. Mother Chu hugged her and comforted her. Good child, don't worry. You're not in good health. Stay at home and rest. I'll find Chu Xiang to save you. I definitely will. Be good. Father Chu and Chu Cheng looked at them. They hesitated a few times but didn't stop them. This might be the only way. The second was Xia Yunhui's wedding. As the bridesmaid, Chu Xiang accompanied her to the hotel dressing room to do the final tidying up. Xia Yunhui looked at Chu Xiang in the mirror and pouted. You, the bridesmaid, are better than me, the bride. No, what if everyone looks at you later? Chu Xiang put on the veil for her and smiled. Then don't ask me to be your bridesmaid. That won't do. You're my best friend. If you don't do it, who will? I have to let you witness my happiest moment. Also, do you know how many doctors and nurses came today? They're all my colleagues from Jingyu's and my practice hospital. Many of them admire you very much. If they see you as my bridesmaid, they'll definitely be envious, haha. Chu Xiang looked at her proud smile and shook her head. You're going to be a doctor in the future. Can't you be more stable? The patients will be scared away if they see you like this. In private, I'm very serious in the hospital. Even Master praises me. Xia Yunhui picked up the bouquet on the table and said, I'm going to throw the bouquet later. I'll throw it to you. Chu Xiang patted her head. Don't. You two are so happy and sweet. There must be many people who want to get your blessings. Throw the bouquet to other girls. The people who receive it will be very happy. Xia Yunhui looked up at her in confusion. Why don't you want it? Even if you don't like anyone now, you can do it in the future. It's not like you have to get married immediately after receiving the bouquet. It's a good sign. Chu Xiang sat next to her and said seriously with a smile, Matchmaker, don't worry about it anymore. I plan to marry a scalpel in my life. I won't ask for mercy. Why? I'm not interested. Then, if you don't want a man, do you want a woman? I'll elope with you today. Go to hell. Do you want Zhengyu to kill me? Chu Xiang pushed her, and both of them laughed. The door was knocked, and Zhengyu's voice came from outside the door. Sorry, ladies. I don't want to hear you. I heard that you want to elope. Can I, the groom, come in and catch you? Xia Yunhui laughed uncontrollably. Oh, I've been caught. Come in, come in. Zhengyu pushed the door open and walked in. When he saw Xia Yunhui, he smiled. Dear, you're so beautiful today. Why don't you stay for me, the groom? Xia Yunhui held his hand and said proudly. It depends on your performance. I can let Xiang support me at any time. If you dare to treat me badly in the future, I'll go to Xiang and be her assistant. My value will increase many times, right, Xiang? Chu Xiang nodded. You're welcome at any time. Zhang Yu looked at her helplessly and complained. This is what it means to be a childhood friend. I already have a premonition of what life will be like in the future. Johnson, who had followed behind him, had been in a daze since just now. When they finished talking, he walked around Chu Xiang and exclaimed, You're so beautiful. Xiang, you look so beautiful in a gown. Hey, Zhengyu, can't you let me be your best man? I want to be a couple with Xiang. No, I've already found my best man. Sorry. Zhang Yu had long seen that Chu Xiang wasn't attracted to Johnson. He didn't want to join in the fun. Johnson's face was full of regret. He hurriedly took out his phone and took a photo with Chu Xiong. "Xiong, let's take a beautiful photo." Chu Xiong took a photo with him and called him out, leaving the dressing room for the newlyweds to whisper. After all, they would be going to the hall in a while. Before the wedding ceremony, they must be very nervous and excited. After leaving the room, Johnson's mood fell. He glanced at Chu Xiong from time to time. Chu Xiong walked a few steps and stopped helplessly. "What's the matter? It's not your style to say something." Johnson looked at her and asked, "Is what you said to your friend true? You didn't agree because you don't want to fall in love with anyone. Is that so?" "That's right." Chu Xiong nodded and shrugged. "I told you a long time ago. If you don't believe me, look at other charming girls in the future. Don't waste your time on me, okay? But. No buts. You know that I won't change my mind. We can only be friends." Chu Xiong was very straightforward. Her eyes were firm and serious. It wasn't the first time Johnson had been rejected by her, but this time, he felt that there was no hope at all. He spread his hands and took 2 steps back. He shook his head and said, "I don't want to give up. You know that. I don't want to say anything. I understand what you mean. We'll always be friends. Don't avoid me, okay? I think I need time to think it through. You know how difficult it is for me to not love you. You're so charming." Chu Xiong smiled and took him to the lounge to wait. Xia Yunhui's wedding was considered grand. She and Zhang Yu were originally people from the medical system, so they invited many colleagues to attend. The news of Chu Xiong being the bridesmaid somehow spread. Many people who admired her or wanted to get close to her begged Xia Yunhui to attend the wedding. After Xia Yunhui and Chu Xiong discussed it, they moved to a bigger hotel and invited many people from the medical field. Chu Xiong only had one good friend in this life. Xia Yunhui had brought her a lot of joy these years. She might as well take this opportunity to help Xia Yunhui pave the way and build a network of connections in the medical system. She hoped that Xia Yunhui and Zhang Yu would develop more smoothly in the future. While they were holding the wedding, some media outlets had already released the news of Chu Xiong being the bridesmaid. The classmates and friends who were attending the wedding also posted it on their WeChat moments. Then, their friends saw it and posted it on their WeChat moments. Chu Shi saw this news on her WeChat moments. She hurriedly sent a voice message to her family group and happily said, "I found Chu Xiong. She's attending her friend's wedding at the hotel. I'll send you the location of the hotel. Let's go and find her now, okay?" Mother Chu immediately replied, "Okay, I'll come and pick you up right away. Let's go to the hotel to find her. There are so many people at the wedding. I don't believe that she would be so shameless as to force her to perform the operation on you." Feng Jia called Chu Cheng and felt uneasy. Chu Cheng persuade them. What are they doing? Are they gangsters? Don't you think about it. If they force Chu Xiong like this, even if the operation is successful, will it be successful? Only Chu Xiong can perform this operation in the whole world, but she might not be able to guarantee success every time. What if her hand trembles and the operation fails? Who are you going to look for? Chu Cheng was stunned. He had never thought about this problem. Chu Shi could not be saved. Chu Xiong was the only hope, so he only wanted Chu Xiong to save Chu Shi. But Feng Jia was right. What if Chu Xiong deliberately did something bad and directly let Chu Shi die on the operating table? In such a complicated operation, who would be able to tell that Chu Xiong was doing it deliberately? Chu Cheng told Mother Chu about this concern. Mother Chu was silent for a long time and suddenly said, "Then let her not fail. Let everyone know that she must save her sister. Otherwise she's doing it deliberately murdering her." Chu Cheng was a little worried. "Mother, you're not in a good state now. You should rest at home. I'll go and find Chu Xiong." "No, when did you ever find her useful? I'm her mother and I gave birth to her. I don't believe that I can't force her." There was only one thing in Mother Chu's heart, and that was to make Chu Xiong save her sister. She would do anything. The Chu family rushed to the hotel as fast as they could, But Chu Xiang was about to perform the operation on the old leader. Nothing must happen to her. Even when attending a friend's wedding, there were 2 bodyguards hidden among the guests. Naturally, there were people watching outside the hotel. Moreover, there were too many people who wanted to attend the wedding this time. Xia Yunhui had also arranged the wedding very strictly. One must have an invitation to enter. Otherwise, they would be stopped by the staff from afar. The Chu family had no chance to rush in at all. Mother Chu pushed the staff and frowned. "Let me go in. I'm Chu Xiang's mother. I have an urgent matter and I need to see her immediately." The staff smiled politely and said, "Madam, I'm sorry. You can't go in without an invitation. If you need to find Dr. Chu, you can contact her yourself." How could Mother Chu contact Chu Xiang? She walked directly to the street outside the hotel and looked at the people coming and going. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She cried and shouted, "Chu Xiang! Chu Xiang, come out quickly and save your sister. Only you can save her. I'm begging you." The staff of the hotel was shocked and hurriedly sent someone to inform Chu Xiang and the security guards to stop Mother Chu. Mother Chu cried sadly. Chu Shi held her chest and stood pitifully by the side. Father Chu and Chu Cheng both frowned and lowered their heads. The scene looked really miserable and helpless. Many people stopped outside the hotel to look at them. Some took out their phones to take pictures of them crying and begging. Chu Xiang had avoided the guests to hear the news from the staff. When she heard that the family was making a scene outside the hotel, her face turned cold. She immediately sent a message to the bodyguards who came with her and asked them to help solve it as quickly as possible. This kind of thing was a piece of cake to them. The bodyguards didn't even go out. With a message, someone immediately went out to invite the Chu family into the hotel. The Chu family thought that Chu Xiang was finally going to see them, so they quickly helped Chu Shi into the hotel. Who knew that they would be restrained when they entered a lounge? They were only released after the wedding. They didn't even get to see Chu Xiang. They didn't even get to see the wedding guests. They had wasted a great opportunity. Chu Xiang's actions were like a slap to Mother Chu's face. Mother Chu never thought that her biological daughter would be so ungrateful for the kindness of raising her. She was already so shameless, but Chu Xiang still refused to see her. This daughter really didn't even acknowledge her own mother. Mother Chu had been mentally and physically exhausted all these years for Chu Shi. This time, she couldn't get what she wanted even if she shed her face. Hatred suddenly grew in her heart. She didn't go home. Instead, she contacted a few media outlets to expose Chu Xiang for not saving her biological sister and not acknowledging her parents and brothers. She was ungrateful and looked down on her family after having a status. Chu Xiang was the youngest medical expert in the country and the pride of the medical world. She was the most likely person to cure terminal illnesses in the future. She was also the most popular person recently. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that she was a miracle. Now, her family had suddenly appeared and exposed that she was ungrateful, didn't acknowledge her family, and didn't even save her biological sister. When the media caught wind of the news, they swarmed to the Chu family and began to dig deeper into the matter. Mother Chu used the most decisive method. She wanted to use moral coercion and let everyone force Chu Xiang to compromise. She didn't believe that Chu Xiang wouldn't lower her head for the sake of her own reputation. As long as Chu Xiang cured Chu Xiang, she could go wherever she wanted in the future. She didn't dare to have such a daughter. Mother Chu was merciless towards a daughter that she had no intention of acknowledging again. She continued to expose both the truth and the lies, even exaggerating the truth. She only wanted to blow the matter up so that Chu Xiang would have nowhere to hide. After attending the wedding, Chu Xiang returned to her residence. Someone specially came to ask her about this matter, mainly to ask if she needed to do anything. Actually, they had already investigated Chu Xiang's background and the grudges of the Chu family. Otherwise, how would they dare to let her operate on the old leader? Chu Xiang hadn't interacted with the Chu family after transmigrating. She didn't know them that well. However, Chu Shi was about to die. She guessed that the Chu family would do something desperate. Although public opinion didn't affect her at all, it was better to have less trouble. She didn't have any other requests. She only wanted to suppress all news of the Chu family and not let this matter blow up. Of course, this wasn't a problem. Before the media finished their interviews, they all received a call from their superiors telling them to delete all the information. Not a single word of this matter could be exposed. No matter how big the news was, if the superiors didn't allow it to be reported, no media would report it. The people who had rushed to the Chu family left the Chu family as quickly as possible, afraid that their superiors would misunderstand if they were too slow. Mother Chu watched them leave and couldn't stop them. She was at a loss and didn't know what had happened. Although the Chu family's background was not bad, they had never come into contact with a matter of this level. They couldn't understand why a doctor like Chu Xiang could have such great abilities that so many media outlets didn't pick up on this news. They didn't know Chu Xiang's value. Chu Xiang was the kind of person who would be called a divine doctor in ancient times. She could become famous with just an opportunity. She was only a cardiologist to the outside world, but in fact she had saved more than 5 heavyweight big shots. However, this was a secret and outsiders had no way of knowing. Her Chinese medicine skills were superb. Others couldn't understand how she did it, but the big boss she saved definitely treated her as a guest of honor. Naturally, he would escort her. This was also the reason why she could have such a status at such a young age of 23. She was more important than everyone knew. The Chu family had cut off all means of retreat to force Chu Xiang to submit, but their plan had failed from the very beginning. Ever since Chu Shi knew that Chu Xiang could save her, she had experienced several things that went from being full of hope to being in despair. She was close to breaking down again and again. She cried in front of the Chu family and said miserably, "Why didn't she save me? She's my sister. Why didn't she save me?" Mother Chu was at her wits' end. She hugged her and sat there blankly. She could only persuade her not to be agitated over and over again. Chu Chang swiped his phone and said, "It doesn't matter if the media doesn't report it. When we were at the hotel, many people took videos and posted them online. There are already people discussing whether this matter is true or not. Maybe we can take a video or broadcast it ourselves and tell everyone about it." Feng Jie looked at him coldly. "Are you crazy? Do you want everyone to see us as a joke?" Mother Chu said angrily, "What joke? Even if it's a joke, is it more important than Cece's life? Look at you. You didn't even go to the hotel today. Aren't you just afraid of losing face? Why are you so cold-blooded? Cece is your sister." Feng Jie sneered. "I finally know why Chu Xiang didn't go home. You used to criticize her a lot in the past, didn't you? How am I cold-blooded? Didn't you see when I took care of Chu Shi? Didn't you see when I was bullied by her? I just want to live a normal life and tell you that doing all this is a waste of energy. You think I'm cold-blooded? Can't you see that Chu Shi is using you? If she has the ability, she can go find Chu Xiang herself. Maybe she can really make Chu Xiang forgive her if she apologizes properly." Apologize for what? Why should she apologize to Chu Xiang? Mother Chu had nowhere to vent her anger, so she started to argue with Feng Jie. Feng Jie stood up and looked down at Chu Shi disdainfully. "What's there to apologize for? I feel more and more that Chu Xiang is the truth. Otherwise, everything is illogical. She didn't want to be bullied here." Without waiting for them to speak, she turned around and went back to her room. "Do whatever you want. Anyway, you never listened to others." Mother Chu pointed at her and said to Chu Qing, "What's wrong with her? She's helping Chu Xiang. Didn't you tell her about the family's situation?" "I know," Chu Qing said irritably. "Don't worry about Feng Jie. Aren't we going to let Chu Xiang treat Chu Shi now? Strike while the iron is hot and take advantage of the fact that people are talking about it online. Hurry up and do something. Otherwise, if this popularity dies down, it'll be useless even if we want to expose more." Mother Chu hurriedly said, Yes, hurry up and do it. I don't understand these things either. Let me do it when you're done. Chu Xiang is unfilial. No matter how good a doctor she is, it's useless. Being unfilial means not attending school. Chu Qing posted on various forums and Weibo. He even posted photos of Chu Xiang from birth and some certificates to prove that they were really Chu Xiang's family. Then he started a live broadcast to let Mother Chu cry about Chu Xiang's heartlessness. Less than 5 minutes after the posts were posted, they were all deleted. Less than 3 minutes after the live broadcast started, it was shut down. Chu Qing posted again, but it was immediately deleted. Even his account was blocked. He struggled for almost an hour, but it was useless. Besides feeling powerless, he also felt terrified. Who exactly is Chu Xiang? How could it be like this? Isn't she an expert? There are so many experts who are being attacked on the internet, but it's fine. Why can't Chu Xiang post anything? Chu Shi snatched his phone and kept clicking on it. When she found that it really didn't work, she slammed the phone and said angrily, "Why? Why are you doing this to me? Why?" Chu Shi's hope was once again broken. Her emotions fluctuated too much and her heart felt terrible. She couldn't even breathe properly. Chu Qing hurriedly called for an ambulance. The family rushed to the hospital and once again watched Chu Shi walk through the gates of hell. Chu Qing looked through the public opinion online. The videos outside the hotel were all gone. But there were still some people who saw the posts and live broadcast. At least they knew that Chu Xiang didn't acknowledge her parents and didn't save her sister. She was an ungrateful ingrate. So there were people who used CX to replace Chu Xiang's name to discuss this matter, especially to discuss the reason for the instant deletion and blocking. Many people were disgusted by special treatment. There were also many people who thought that unfilial people deserved to die. So even if this matter didn't spread widely, there were still some people who criticized Chu Xiang on the internet. Chu Qing learned to be smart this time. He used a code name and pinyin to post, asking everyone to help persuade Chu Xiang to perform the operation on her biological sister. This matter had been suppressed and not spread. Most people didn't know about it, but some people who often searched for Chu Xiang's name saw it, including the classmates who had witnessed Chu Xiang's break with her family on the boat. Song Chi was one of them. She was their class monitor in high school. She also loved to gossip. When she saw this news, she anonymously posted about it. 5 years ago, Chu Shi had tripped Chu Xiang into the sea. After Chu Xiang almost died, she said that she didn't acknowledge her sister and even broke off relations with her family. There were also medical students who revealed that the poisonous tongue in the library had left a deep impression on everyone. Chu Xiang and Chu Shi were really enemies. Moreover, Chu Xiang had even returned the upbringing fees from when she was young to the Chu family. They hadn't seen Chu Xiang's relatives in their entire university life. Some people who knew the Chu family also revealed that their family had always been biased. Chu Shi was the princess of the Chu family, and Chu Xiang was an invisible person. Chu Xiang had left home for many years and hadn't seen the Chu family looking for her. This time they were so anxious purely because of Chu Xiang's medical skills. There weren't many revelations because most people didn't know about this at all. However, this little bit of information was enough for people to piece together a complete story. Who was heartless? Who was cold-blooded? Just like Chu Xiang back then, no matter where this matter went, there would be two opinions. One supported her, and the other condemned her. Those who knew about this matter had these two opinions about Chu Xiang. However, because it didn't spread, the popularity wasn't high. The Chu family became more and more disappointed. They really didn't know what else to do. Chu Shi looked at their useless expressions and there was no longer any warmth in her eyes. She had already given up on letting Chu Xiang perform the surgery on her. She understood that Chu Xiang just wanted her to die. Others didn't know, but she knew very well that she was the one who had caused Chu Xiang to fall into the water back then. Chu Xiang would never forgive her. Since that was the case, then let Chu Xiang die. As long as Chu Xiang died, she would be able to transplant Chu Xiang's heart. She would be able to survive. She definitely could. Chu Shi had already gone completely crazy. She secretly contacted the underworld people she had met a few years ago and promised them a large sum of money to create an accident. She had wanted Chu Xiong's heart for a long time. It was because Chu Xiong had solved the problem of her illness that she wanted Chu Xiong to save her. Since Chu Xiong wasn't willing, then this was the only way. At this moment, Chu Shi had calmed down because she had no other way out. She didn't have time to think of other ways. She really couldn't wait any longer. She didn't want to be like Chu Xiong and become a tombstone. Chu Xiong's bodyguard immediately noticed a suspicious person and reported it to Chu Xiong truthfully after investigating. Chu Xiong was a little surprised, but she didn't feel surprised. After all, Chu Shi had always been a very vicious person. She thought about how Chu Shi was about to die and how she was still being scolded for not saving her sister and not acknowledging her parents. The Chu family also held Chu Shi as a princess. This was the best opportunity to turn things around and make them feel even more uncomfortable. Chu Xiong decided to go with the flow and let the bodyguard protect her secretly while she went out to give the criminals a chance to commit the crime. Chu Xiong hadn't performed surgery on the old leader yet. Of course, the higher-ups couldn't let her take the risk. They casually put on a show and called people to arrest the criminals on the spot. The higher-ups had already investigated the details of what had happened. The police used the fastest speed to solve the case and went directly to the hospital to arrest Chu Shi. When Mother Chu saw them handcuffing Chu Shi, she was furious. "What are you doing? How can you arrest people without distinguishing between right and wrong? We have conclusive evidence to prove that Chu Shi hired someone to kill. If you have anything to say, say it in court." The police didn't give them a chance to defend themselves and quickly took Chu Shi away. Chu Shi was shocked and afraid. She only knew how to play tricks at home and had always been protected. When had she experienced the storms of society? When she was locked up, she was really panicking. What made her most panicked was that the person had failed. Chu Xiong didn't die at all. What about her heart? She was hopeless. The Chu family couldn't accept it even more. They didn't believe that Chu Shi would hire someone to kill Chu Xiong. Chu Shi had always been kind. She couldn't even bear to kill a bug. How could she kill Chu Xiong? However, when they heard that the criminal's confession mentioned that he had to pay attention to his heart, they started to believe him. That was Chu Xiong's heart. It was very likely that it was the most suitable heart for Chu Shi. Feng Jie was the first to take it. It was fine if her sister-in-law could act, but now she had actually become a criminal who hired someone to kill her. She immediately dragged Chu Cheng to go through the divorce procedures. No matter what Chu Cheng did, it was useless. Mother Chu was so agitated that she was sent to the hospital and bedridden. Father Chu's hair was white and he was frowning all day. Chu Cheng could only run around alone and take care of everyone in the family. He thought of a way to apply for extrajudicial treatment for Chu Shi. While he was mentally and physically exhausted, Chu Cheng reflected for the first time. Did they all do something wrong? Why did a good family turn out like this? Chu Shi could do such a thing as hiring someone to kill someone. Back then on the cruise ship, did she trip Chu Xiong into the water? If Chu Xiong's story was true, then all these years, what exactly had they been doing? After Chu Shi was sentenced, Chu Xiong also finished the old leader's surgery and went abroad again. The netizens who were paying attention to Chu Xiong and the Chu family were all shocked when they found out that Chu Shi had hired someone to kill Chu Xiong for her heart. Fake news that was unfavorable to Chu Xiong could not be published online, but the restrictions in other aspects were lifted. The news that Chu Shi wanted to kill Chu Xiong was instantly reported everywhere. Chapter 127. No matter what people thought of Chu Xiong before, Chu Shi's attempt to kill Chu Xiong and steal her heart was too vicious. This was something that no one could accept. Chu Shi was immediately pointed at by everyone and scolded badly. Because of this news, many people dug up the cause and found out that only Chu Xiong could treat Chu Shi's illness. However, Chu Xiong had cut ties with the Chu family and refused to treat her twin sister's illness. Everyone immediately understood Chu Xiong's actions. Such a vicious sister, why should she save her? Twins were supposed to be the most intimate people in the world. They had been together since birth and were even closer than people who slept next to each other. One of them actually wanted to kill the other. Even if they weren't in the flesh, they still felt their hair stand on end. Some people even guessed that the reason Chu Xiong tackled the difficult problem of heart disease was to treat her sister's illness. Otherwise, why didn't she tackle other problems? She only tackled this one. Chu Xiong could treat Chushi, but she was determined not to. It was definitely because she had discovered Chushi's true colors. Moreover, the Chu family was extremely biased, forcing Chu Xiong to cut ties with her family and leave the country. Now, when someone brought up the matter of the Chu family crying outside the hotel and live-streaming their complaints, everyone felt that if they could even do such a thing, who knew what they would do to Chu Xiong in private? This family was not good people. The Chu family suffered the greatest malice in history. The overwhelming public opinion attack on the internet made them unable to withstand it. Chushi applied for extrajudicial treatment. She lay on the hospital bed with an oxygen mask and couldn't even sit up. No one dared to let her see the comments on the internet. Chu Qing used to have a sister complex. He often showed off his kind-hearted sister in front of his colleagues, but he almost never mentioned Chu Xiong. Now that his colleagues knew the inside story, they all stayed far away from him. How good could a brother who liked a murderous person be? Not long after, Chu Cheng's boss fired him. The impact was too bad, and the other colleagues could no longer work with him in peace. Some female colleagues were even afraid of offending him and causing trouble. How could such a person stay in the office? He was about to be promoted because Chushi lost her job just like that. Although the capital was very big and not everyone knew him, he could still continue to look for a job. However, the connections he had accumulated over the years, the accumulation of work achievements, and the appreciation of his superiors were all gone. He could only start all over again. His career and marriage had all been lost because of Chushi. He felt an indescribable exhaustion in his heart. He also felt dissatisfied with Chushi, but he suppressed it and did not explode. Mr. Chu couldn't stand the strange looks from his colleagues. He always asked for leave and was fired like Chu Cheng. Mrs. Chu was bedridden and had yet to recover from her illness. Naturally, she had lost her job. The whole family stayed in the hospital and treated the hospital as their home. Coincidentally, Xia Yunhui was doing her internship in the hospital where they worked. When she saw them like this, she couldn't help but complain to Chu Xiong. They really deserve it. Instead of living a good life, none of them are clear-headed. Chushi was really lucky. She was so sick that she didn't have to go to jail. Just thinking about what she did makes me gnash my teeth in anger. Chu Xiong smiled and said, "Do you think she's comfortable now? I guess she's on the verge of collapse now. She's being tortured both physically and mentally. Moreover, she's afraid that she won't wake up. Despair can't describe her feelings anymore, right?" Sayunhui laughed when she heard this. "Now that I think about it, it's true. Wow, your mentality is too good. If I were to encounter such a thing, I would be angry to death." "Angry about what? What do they have to do with me?" "Alright, don't think about them anymore. Just treat them as strangers who don't know each other. Anyway, I'm fine. They're the ones suffering now. You should be happy." Chu Xiong saw her assistant coming over. She took the document and quickly looked through it, then signed her name. Once this work was done, it was almost time to go home. Xia Yunhui smiled happily over the phone and agreed. "I should be happy. Seeing that they're not doing well, I'm relieved. What right do they have to bully you and still want to live a good life? This time, I'm afraid Chushi won't be able to hold on much longer. The few of them look like they've aged 10 years. Let them court death by themselves. Alright, let's not talk about them. What are your plans? Are you coming back soon?" Chu Xiong put on her coat and walked out as she said, "I still have a few better surgeries to do here. I'll go back after I'm done with all my work. You know, I've received a lot of help from the Rao here. Some favors have to be considered. I can't just leave." However, I have to go back in 2 days to do a follow-up for a patient and accept an interview. I'll look for you for a meal then. Okay. Let me know when you've booked the plane ticket. I'll pick you up at the airport. I'm afraid that won't be too appropriate. Chu Xiang chuckled. She was going back to do a follow-up for the old leader. From boarding the plane to landing to meeting the old leader, someone had followed her. Xie Yunhui vaguely guessed this and hurriedly said, "Then I'll wait for your call. You can look for me any time when you have time." "All right. Hurry up and go to work. I still have to organize my thesis after work. Work hard and strive to become a chief surgeon as soon as possible. Thank you for your kind words, haha." Chu Xiang thought of the current situation of the Rao family and smiled. She made some adjustments to the content of the interview when she got back. Since Chushi couldn't hold on any longer, she would send her on her way. Dying with grievances was the best ending for her. Chu Xiang hadn't done anything yet when Feng Jie rushed to Chushi. The Chu family couldn't stop her no matter how hard they tried. Even the nurses couldn't stop her. Feng Jie scolded Chushi right to her face. "How unlucky must I be to be your sister-in-law? It's not enough that you harmed your own family, and you even seduced my brother. What kind of medicine did you feed him to make him steal the family's money for you? Where's the money? 3 million. Return it to me immediately." Father Chu shouted sternly. "Get out if you have something to say. Don't you think Chushi's illness is serious enough?" Chu Cheng, quickly pull Feng Jie out. Chu Cheng reached out to pull Feng Jie away. Feng Jie slapped him hard and pointed at his nose as she scolded. "Why are you pulling me away? You good for nothing. You've been ridden on by Chushi your whole life. Are you going to help her pay back the money? Pay it back now. This slut has led my brother astray. If it weren't for the fact that she's lying on the hospital bed, I would have torn her apart today." "You hit me." Chu Cheng covered his face in disbelief. "Feng Jie, are you crazy? What evidence do you have to come here and talk nonsense? How could Chushi cheat your brother of so much money? Is your brother retarded? Even if he was Chushi, he wouldn't do such a thing." "Bah! She's willing to pay someone to kill someone. Where do you think she got the money to do that? Is your family's money still there? What are you going to use to pay it back? Sell the house. Let me tell you, even if you sell the house, you have to pay me back the money. That's my parents' hard-earned money. If you don't pay it back, I won't let you off." Feng Jie's expression was too ugly. She really wanted to tear Chushi apart. She panted and glared at Chushi, gritting her teeth as she said, "Serves you right. Twins, why are you the only one with poor health? I think it's because you've done too many evil things in your past life. Master is punishing you. Look at what immoral things you've done." Chushi didn't even look at Feng Jie. She closed her eyes and ignored her. Naturally, she wasn't agitated. Now, other than her illness, nothing could agitate her. The person she had found had failed. Chu Xiang had gone abroad. She was about to die. Why would she care about these people? She didn't even care about her parents and brother. Why would she care about the brother of her ex-sister-in-law? Feng Jie was even angrier when she saw her like this. She mocked. "You think no one can do anything to you, right? Just pretend you didn't hear anything. Did you know?" A media company released a notice saying that, after the 2 sessions, Chu Xiang's interview will be broadcasted live. Chu Xiang is coming back again. Chu Shi instantly opened her eyes and looked at her. Chu Xiang had returned. It was as if the distance between them had been pulled closer. Even if she knew that Chu Xiang wouldn't save her, she still couldn't help but feel a little excited. Chu Qing forcefully pulled Feng Jie out. Feng Jie couldn't break free, so she simply turned around and laughed loudly. "Chu Xiang is coming back, but you just can't see her. She will never save you. You never thought that she would be your life-saving straw, did you? If you had known earlier, would you have tried to please her from the moment you were born? Unfortunately, it's too late now. You even caused her to fall into the water and almost drown. Now your retribution is here. You didn't think that she would survive either, did you?" Feng Jie didn't know what she was thinking. She just wanted to agitate Chuxi. She couldn't wait to agitate Chuxi until she stopped breathing. She had also suffered a lot of strange looks in the company. Even if she announced that she was divorced, there was nothing she could do. Seeing that she was about to lose her job, she hated Chuxi to death. Chuxi was indeed agitated. She pulled off the oxygen mask, grabbed the cup beside her and threw it at Feng Jie. Feng Jie was shocked and subconsciously hid behind Chu Cheng. The cup hit Chu Cheng's head directly. Chuxi rolled her eyes and said breathlessly, "Get lost. She deserved to die. She caused me to have a heart attack. She deserved to die. Why didn't she drown? If she drowned, her heart would be mine. It's mine." She clearly stopped breathing. Why didn't she die? The nurse called for the doctor to push the unconscious Chuxi into the emergency room. The Chu family members were frozen on the spot like stone statues. Feng Jie was the first to react. She grabbed Chu Cheng's collar and said in shock, "She what? What does she mean? She was the one who harmed Chu Xiong back then, wasn't she?" Chu Cheng shook his head and took a few steps back. "Impossible, impossible." Father Chu also staggered and fell onto the hospital bed. He stared blankly. "She's blind. How could she harm her sister? Didn't Chu Xiong frame her that time?" Feng Jie sneered. "Haven't you lied to yourselves enough? She admitted it herself. I knew it. How could Chu Xiong frame her for no reason and cut ties with the family? Chu Xiong is the truth. You're the ones who are blind to believe in Chuxi and force away such an outstanding expert like Chu Xiong. If you had treated Chu Xiong well, would the Chu family have become like this? Think about it. Chu Xiong's scandals are not allowed to be exposed. How powerful is the person behind her? If Chu Xiong was still in the Chu family, the Chu family would have become a big family in the future." Chu Cheng hugged his head and squatted on the ground. He couldn't believe that they had been wrong all along. "I watched Chuxi grow up. She's not so bad. If she could kill Chu Xiong once, she could kill Chu Xiong twice. Think about it. She's a criminal now. Why did she commit a crime? You all know that she won't be able to live for long even if she finds a suitable heart. Why is she so persistent? Because she and Chu Xiong are twins. She knows that Chu Xiong's heart can let her live. She's the most vicious person. You're all idiots who are being used by her." Feng Jie was really happy this time. She tidied her hair and said coldly, "Quickly sell the house and return the money to me. Otherwise I'll make trouble for you. I'll do it." Feng Jie turned and left. She didn't feel any psychological burden towards Chuxi, who was in the middle of the emergency treatment. Ing Chuxi's will to live was strong. She had survived so many provocations. Although her illness got worse every time she survived, and she looked neither like a human nor a ghost. There was no trace of Chu Xiong in her appearance. She still stubbornly held on because Chu Xiong's heart and Chu Xiong's medical skills could save her. She couldn't completely despair. However, this feeling of always having a glimmer of hope hanging in the air was actually the most uncomfortable. Feng Jie felt relieved just thinking about it. At least this time, she had completely exposed Chuxi's hypocritical mask and revealed the truth. The Chu family was in so much pain that they wished they were dead. It could be considered that she had vented her anger. This time, it took Chuxi a long time before she managed to catch her breath. However, most of the time she was in a coma. Even if she woke up, she was still a little delirious and did not recognize people. She would only think of Chu Xiong with a weak breath, like an obsession that was engraved into her soul. Seeing her like this, the Chu family could no longer question whether she had caused Chu Xiong to fall into the water. There was nothing to question anymore. Didn't Chuxi's words mean that she had admitted it? After Mother Chu found out, her illness got worse and she couldn't come to see Chuxi anymore. She lay on the hospital bed and washed her face with tears every day. Chu Cheng and Father Chu smoked outside the hospital every day. They couldn't accept this fact. If Chuxi had always been malicious, if Chuxi had always been bullying Chu Xiong and looking for opportunities to harm Chu Xiong, if Chuxi had always been wearing a hypocritical mask, Then wouldn't they have misunderstood Chu Xiang? Then wouldn't they have always thought that Chu Xiang was bad and always taught Chu Xiang a lesson? Wouldn't that be all wrong? They hadn't regretted it yet. Their hearts were only at a loss. They couldn't figure it out. They really couldn't figure it out. If all this was true, then how good was Chuxi's acting? The child they doted on so much had been playing them around for so many years. Just like Feng Jie said, was she using them? Then what about Chu Xiang? When Chu Xiang had tripped her into the water, all of them had reprimanded Chu Xiang. As a result, Chu Xiang had run away from home to exchange for alimony and cut ties with them. They had always thought that Chu Xiang was cold-blooded, but in the end, were they the ones who were cold-blooded? When Chu Xiang returned to the country, she didn't know what had happened here. Xia Yunhui knew that she had important things to do these 2 days, so she didn't mention such a troublesome matter to her at all. Therefore, Chu Xiang's interview came as scheduled. In the interview, she also talked about her family for the first time. Chuxi was in a daze, but her spirits were better now. She insisted on watching Chu Xiang's interview live. The few members of the Chu family all came to the ward and turned on the television. When they saw a high-spirited Chu Xiang appear on the screen, they all silently watched the television. Their eyes seemed to be watching but also seemed to be empty. They didn't know what kind of expression to make. Chuxi stared at Chu Xiang on the screen. Chu Xiang's face was rosy and her eyes were clear. She was wearing a red sleeveless dress and her shoulder-length hair was gently tucked behind her ears. She looked dignified and generous, without losing her youthful vitality. She was so beautiful and so eye-catching. When the host spoke to her, he was full of respect and admiration because she had achievements that no one else could reach. She was enough to make people look up to her. Chuxi's hands slowly clenched into fists. Why? They were clearly identical. They were twins, so why were their lives so different? They were simply worlds apart. Chu Xiang was so high and mighty, while she was already going to return to dust. Master was too unfair. She really couldn't accept it. If Chu Xiang had died in the sea back then, if Chu Xiang had been willing to do the surgery for her, if that criminal had killed Chu Xiang, as long as it had succeeded once, she would have been able to live. Why? Why was she always so unlucky? Just as Chuxi was feeling indignant, she heard Chu Xiang mention her name. Her eyes instantly widened and she stared at the screen. Chu Xiang said indifferently, "It seems that recently my family's affairs have been spreading like wildfire. Everyone is very concerned about it. Actually, for me, before I went to university about 5 years ago, I already didn't have a family. So, the recent events didn't affect me much and won't make me feel any trauma about returning home. After a period of time when my work abroad ends, I will return home to settle down." The host asked, "Regarding your twin sister, it seems that only you can treat her illness. Is that really the case?" Back then, Dr. Chu chose to specialize in this area of research. Is it related to Chuxi's illness? Chu Xiang smiled and said, "It can be considered to be related. Thinking about it since I was young, I have always had an obsession to find a way to cure Chuxi. 'Cause," she chuckled softly, "because ever since I can remember, my parents and brother have told me over and over again that I was the one who stole Chuxi's nutrients and caused her heart to develop poorly. All her sufferings were caused by me." The host was shocked. This doesn't make sense at all." Chu Xiang spread her hands and smiled. "Now I know that it doesn't make sense, but I didn't know at that time. I really thought that I owed Chuxi, so my biggest dream was to cure her. Since I was young, I had been paying attention to information in this area and didn't have much time to make friends. Everyone's impression of me was very cold. Later on, when I was admitted to medical school, I had already broken off relations with my family. However, it was a pity to give up on something that I had researched for so many years, so I continued to research along this path. Fortunately, the results are not bad. It turns out that there was such a reason behind Dr. Chu's achievements. Although the beginning of the story wasn't so beautiful, and there may have been a lot of bitterness, the good thing was that the fruit in the end was sweet." The host said something again, but Chuxi could no longer listen. Her eyes were wide open as she stared at Chu Xiong on the screen without moving. Chu Xiong had done all this for her, to cure her. Chu Xiong had worked hard for so many years and finally succeeded, but she had offended Chu Xiong halfway through. It was she who had personally destroyed her chance to live. It was she who had forced Chu Xiong to leave. She could have lived and had a sister who loved her very much. She could have had an amazing sister who could save her and solve the world's problems for her. She could have lived. Chu Xiong had become the only person in the world who could save her for her sake. She could have lived. She could have lived. Chu Shi stared at the television screen and her heart slowly stopped beating. Mother Chu was the first to realize that something was wrong and reached out to push Chu Shi. There was a long beep and everyone was shocked. Chu Cheng hurriedly rushed out to call for a doctor and Chu Shi was pushed into the emergency room again. But this time she didn't wake up again. Mother Chu lay by her bed and cried bitterly. She reached out to close Chu Shi's eyes, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't. Chu Shi had really died with her eyes open. Mother Chu broke down and cried. What sin have I committed? Why did a good family become like this? Why do my two daughters have to kill each other? Father Chu also couldn't take it anymore. His legs were weak and he collapsed by the wall. Tears flowed down his face as he muttered. Chu Xiong wanted to save Chu Shi. Chu Shi wanted to harm Chu Xiong. And when Chu Xiong could save Chu Shi, she refused to save her, and Chu Shi wanted to kill Chu Xiong. In the end, why? Chu Cheng stood there numbly, neither sad nor happy. It was as if his whole person was numb. He looked at Chu Shi, who had stopped breathing and actually felt relieved. Everything was over. These things would never happen again. There would be no more trouble at home. There would be nothing left. Their lives could finally return to peace. He had always liked and doted on his younger sister so much. He didn't know when it started, but he actually treated his younger sister as a burden. But he couldn't blame himself. His whole life had become a mess because of Chu Shi. He kept standing there and didn't respond when the medical staff called him. He just looked at Chu Shi. When he was at the prime of his life, when he was the busiest at work, Chu Xiong ran away from home and Chu Shi cried for a new heart. He was busy running around everywhere to seek medical treatment for Chu Shi. He even went to the black market countless times to find a suitable heart and deal with those people who licked blood from the edge of their blades. Did she know how scared he was when he went to the black market for the first time? How did those people buy and sell the organs? What kind of terrifying people were they? Mother Chu asked him to contact those people with one sentence. Chu Shi cried miserably at the side and didn't say a word to stop him. His thoughts changed at that time, right? He married a wife and should have been happy, but his wife and younger sister didn't get along. They didn't see eye to eye and his mother always sided with his younger sister. He didn't have peace when he returned to his room. At that time, he would rather work overtime at the company than go home. Home wasn't a warm place for him. Then, Chu Shi gradually drifted away from the kind girl in his memory. She would throw tantrums, scream and smash her phone. It was as if she would go crazy at any time. He also became more and more tired. He missed many good opportunities at work because his time was taken up by Chu Shi's matters. Their family made more and more trouble, even in the hotel, on the streets, and on the internet. Feng Jie and the rest had gone crazy. He thought so too, but for more than 20 years, he was used to doing anything to save Chu Shi. If there was a way, he had to try. At that time, he didn't know what he was doing. He just took one step at a time and finally walked into a dead end. Chu Shi wanted to kill Chu Xiong. He couldn't accept it. This was the second time Chu Shi wanted to kill Chu Xiong. He couldn't accept Chu Shi's viciousness, but he also couldn't accept his own stupidity. Now that Chu Shi was finally dead, everything was ashes to ashes and dust to dust. It was finally going to end, right? Could he still have a new life in the future? The Chu family buried Chu Shi in a daze. There was no funeral. Who would attend the funeral of such a crazy person who wanted to kill her sister? Chu Shi was desolate. Finally, like Chu Xiong, she became a tombstone. The tombstone was pasted with a picture of her smiling face 5 years ago before she was sick, but the 3 Chu family members only felt that it was glaring. Because such a cheerful and pure smile was fake. It was to deceive them. On the way back, Mother Chu muttered, "Should we tell Chu Xiang?" Chu Cheng and Father Chu were silent. Tell Chu Xiang. What should they tell her? That the younger sister who bullied her was finally dead. Chu Xiang still didn't care about them. Besides, none of them could see Chu Xiang. Even if they weren't, Chu Xiang would know. Because Xia Yunhui was in that hospital. She saw with her own eyes every time the Chu family made a scene. Of course, that included Chuxi dying with her eyes open. She didn't tell Chu Xiang in detail and just mentioned it. Chu Xiang knew that Chuxi died while watching the live broadcast. The corners of her mouth curled up, feeling that things had gone unexpectedly smoothly. What could be worse than this? Chuxi's death was definitely the most painful moment of her life. She originally had everything, but everything was destroyed by her. There was no way to blame others, so there was only endless unwillingness left. Chu Xiang's life went on step by step. Every schedule was arranged for her by an assistant. She didn't have to worry about anything. She just focused on her research and then performed a few operations. There were countless people who wanted to make appointments with her for operations. If it wasn't for the kind of patients who needed her, she wouldn't accept them. She was only one person with a pair of hands. She was really too busy. However, she had a few disciples by her side. She had been teaching them. If one day they could graduate from her apprenticeship and help her save more patients, of course that would be the best. The patients who were handled by Chu Xiang were recovering very well unless they really couldn't be saved, and she had no way to save them. Her reputation was getting bigger and bigger, and her status was also getting higher and higher. After her work abroad was done, she bid farewell to her teachers and friends and returned to settle down. Johnson was very reluctant and wanted to chase her back to the country. Chu Xiang directly threw him a task and told him to do more research and not waste time doing useless things. Johnson chased Chu Xiang for several years but couldn't catch up with her. He didn't see any successful suitors. Although he was disappointed, he understood. It wasn't that he wasn't good enough, but that Chu Xiang didn't have the heart. She only liked medicine. Johnson gradually put Chu Xiang in the position of a friend. He no longer said those ambiguous words when he was pursuing her. Instead, he often discussed medical matters with Chu Xiang. Whenever he discovered something good, he would share it with Chu Xiang. Only then did he maintain the status of a friend and not be forgotten by Chu Xiang. Besides Johnson, Chu Xiang's only friend was still Xia Yunhui. She even became the godmother of Xia Yunhui's child. Although it was only in name and she didn't do anything except give red packets, this was the first time she heard the baby call her mother. It felt strange, but because it was someone else's child, it didn't matter if she raised it or cared about it. Sometimes when Chu Xiang was busy for a long time, she would go out to play and relax. Occasionally, she would go to the suburbs where there were few people to relax herself. After that, she would come back and continue her research. Once, when she drove out and passed by a bungalow, she almost bumped into a woman who rushed out of an alley. She hurriedly stopped the car to check. "Are you okay? I'm a doctor. Can I see where you are?" Chu Xiang squatted beside the woman and carefully observed the ground and the condition of the woman. She asked politely. Hearing her voice, the woman froze. She suddenly raised her head and grabbed her. She said excitedly, "Xiang Xiang! It's really my Xiang Xiang!" The woman cried, "Xiang Xiang, I can't live anymore. I'm so miserable." Chu Qing chased out of the alley. When he saw Chu Xiang, he was stunned. He stopped and said helplessly, "You, Chu Xiang, why are you here?" Chu Xiang frowned and pushed Mrs. Chu away. She stood up and stepped back. She said coldly, "She suddenly rushed out and almost hit my car. Since you are okay, I'm leaving." "Well, Xiang Xiang, you can't leave me alone. I'm your mother." Mrs. Chu rolled and crawled to hold Chu Xiang's legs. She cried, "Your father is so heartless. He has been supporting other women behind my back all these years. He took away all the money at home and came back to us after he squandered it all. He is a bastard. I can't stand it anymore. Xiang, help me if you can. I really can't stand it anymore. Chu Cheng was embarrassed and wanted to pull Mrs. Chu up. But Mrs. Chu used so much strength that he couldn't move her at all. He lowered his head embarrassedly. His face was unshaven. He hadn't paid attention to his image for a long time. He also smelled of alcohol. He knew how bad he was. When he saw Chu Xiang frowning, he was even more embarrassed. He hurriedly explained to Chu Xiang, "Mom has been stimulated too much. She has a mental problem. Sorry. She just. Dad had another woman not long after you left home. He had been supporting the family all this time. It was just that the family was annoyed and didn't like to go home. Later something happened at home. Mom was busy with Chushi's matters and didn't have the mood to take care of him. He didn't like to go home even more. Chushi wanted to harm you that time and stole a lot of money from the family. After she died, the family sold the house to repay Feng Jie's money. The rest was taken away by Dad. Mom and I could only rent a house here. In the end, Dad was cheated of all his money by that woman and owed a gambling debt. One of his legs was broken and he found us to support him. Mom couldn't stand it and rushed out. She didn't expect to bump into you. Why are you telling me this? Chu Xiang impatiently crossed her arms and urged, "Take her away." Chu Cheng was stunned. "Yeah, why am I telling you this? I don't know. I just want to." He raised his head and looked at Chu Xiang. The person in front of him was familiar yet unfamiliar. They were siblings who grew up together, but they seemed so distant that it was like they were in another world. His lips opened and closed many times before he said the words he had long wanted to say. "Sorry. We let you down, Chu Xiang." They let down the original owner of the body. The original owner of the body would never hear it. Chu Xiang didn't give him any face. "Not all apologies can be forgiven. I will never forgive you. Take her away. We have nothing to do with each other." Chu Cheng nodded and used all his strength to pull Mother Chu to the side of the road. Chu Xiang got into the car and started it. She looked straight ahead and drove away, not looking at them again. Mother Chu was still crying and reaching out to call Chu Xiang. Chu Cheng was like a wooden man looking in the direction of Chu Xiang's departure. He didn't move. Why did he say those words to Chu Xiang just now? Maybe it was because his life was too desperate and he wanted Chu Xiang to help him share the burden. He really wasn't a good person. But he also knew that Chu Xiang had been very resolute ever since she cut ties with them. She had never thought of going home. Their family had fallen apart in the end. When Chushi died, how could he have thought that everything would become better? Chushi's death was like a fuse, and all the dirty secrets of the Chu family were exposed. He no longer had any fighting spirit. He lowered his head and looked at Mother Chu. He closed his eyes and suddenly let go of her. He turned around and left without looking back. Mother Chu sat on the ground and cried. Father Chu was flustered and exasperated in a house in the alley. Chu Cheng left aimlessly. The collapse of the Chu family was even more thorough. Everyone went their separate ways and never saw each other again. Occasionally they would still see Chu Xiang on the television and in the newspapers. She had always been living a good life and was the only happy person in their family. In this lifetime, Chu Xiang never saw the Chu clan again. She gradually forgot all about them. Perhaps it was because her love in her previous life was too sweet, but in this life, she didn't have the slightest desire to be with anyone she saw. She really was accompanied by scalpels and modern medicine all her life. She researched one topic after another and became the world's top medical expert. Xia Yunhui's dream of becoming her assistant was never realized. Instead, her daughter was especially gifted. She liked to chase after Chu Xiang, her godmother, since she was young. In the end, she really followed by Chu Xiang's side and became one of Chu Xiang's students. This made Xia Yunhui, her biological mother, feel proud and jealous. This girl called her, or mom, just so she could take care of Chu Xiang, or mom. When she asked her why she called her that, she actually said that Chu Xiang was younger than her biological mother. She also didn't tell her daughter that Chu Xiang was never interested in being called mom. She didn't have motherly love at all. Her daughter called her that for so many years in vain. If it wasn't for her outstanding talent, she would have been thrown back by Chu Xiang. In this life, Chu Xiang was living and learning. When her hair was white, she couldn't hold a scalpel anymore. She also wore glasses to study medicine and went in and out of the research institute to do research. She was so busy that she didn't even have time to have a meal with her old friends. Xia Yunhui always said that she was an invisible best friend. However, it was also her invisible best friend that gave Xia Yunhui the greatest sense of security. Xia Yunhui had never been afraid no matter what difficulties she encountered in her life, because she knew that with Chu Xiang around, she would always be the most reliable backing. When Chu Xiang passed away, countless people mourned for her and felt sorry for her. In this life, Chu Xiang had written countless professional books. She had also studied countless difficult and complicated diseases. No one knew how much she had contributed to mankind. She was worthy of being called a legend and a miracle in the medical field. Her name was in the textbooks, her questions were on the exam papers, and her achievements were recorded in the history of medicine. Even if she passed away, people would always remember that there was such a person who dedicated her life to medicine. She studied difficult and complicated diseases and saved many lives. Her students were all elites in the medical field. Her medical skills would be passed down from generation to generation, leaving a strong color in this world. She had been here once, learned countless treasures, and also left behind countless treasures. Without any regrets, she began a new journey, a new life. Chapter 128. In the hot afternoon, the room with the air conditioner cut off almost made people melt. Chu Xiang dreamed that she was surrounded by flames, so hot that she couldn't breathe. She frowned and opened her eyes. Then she heard bang 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 knocking on the door. When she saw her surroundings, she immediately got out of bed, quickly leaned against the wall next to the door and made a defensive posture. Her eyes became clear. She had just seen the original owner. This world was the end of the world with zombies everywhere. The original owner was trapped in the room and couldn't escape, so she took sleeping pills to commit suicide. It was very dangerous here. Chu Xiang confirmed that the door wouldn't be knocked open by zombies for a while, so she relaxed a little. Holding her stomach, she sat back on the bed, took out the fruit knife from the original owner's backpack and held it in her hand, using her spiritual power to remove the drug. When she used her spiritual power, she was surprised to find that the spiritual power in this world was a lot more than the previous world. Although it was impossible to cultivate like when she was a devil cultivator, it wasn't a problem to cultivate to the foundation establishment stage. This was very good. In this dangerous world, not only did she have to guard against zombies, she also had to guard against those crazy evil people. Without a little skill, it was difficult to protect herself. With cultivation, she could walk freely in the end of the world. Chu Xiang wasn't in a hurry to cultivate. The room she was in was a bedroom. The door wasn't that strong, and there were zombies outside knocking on the door. She had to remove the drug first, find a safe place to hide, and then do other things. Chu Xiang used her spiritual power, while fusing with the original owner's memories. The original owner was a 20-year-old girl. She loved to be beautiful, loved to go shopping, loved to gossip, and was also very weak. In the face of sudden changes, there was nothing she could do. Her parents turned into zombies. She was lucky to meet a few classmates when she escaped, so she went with them. Although she was frightened, at least she had companions. Who knew that after a few classmates disliked her for being useless, they actually wanted her to sacrifice herself. She struggled to resist, scratching the classmate's face, and was slapped several times. She asked the others for help, but they just looked at her. Although some people sympathized with her, no one was willing to help. The classmate saw that she didn't want to die, so he scolded her and took her away, leaving her behind and letting a few zombies in, scaring the original owner so she could only hide in the bedroom. The room was on the 4th floor. If she jumped, even if she didn't die, she would be seriously injured, and the original owner didn't know how to survive alone. Those classmates also gave her a great psychological shadow. Her acquaintances like this, what future did she have in the end of the world? She finally chose suicide. Chu Xiang understood the situation in front of the curtain, and the discomfort in her stomach also disappeared under the effect of spiritual power. She listened carefully and heard a low roar that did not sound like a human's. The force of the banging on the door was not that strong, and it was very rhythmic. She could even smell a bit of rotten smell in the air. Chooses look, she's is. As soon as she opened the window, she heard a few screams. There were zombies eating people on the street, and that person was bitten black and blue. She couldn't climb down like this, so she quietly closed the window and waved the fruit knife a few times. She felt hers' strength was weak, so she tried to attach her spiritual power to her hand and the fruit knife, and waved it again with good strength. She looked at the speed of the zombies downstairs, and after confirming that she could deal with them, she went to the door. She leaned on the door and listened for half a minute, roughly identifying the location of several zombies. She turned her back to the wall next to the door, twisted the door handle and opened a crack. The zombies immediately roared and tried to squeeze through the door. The moment the first zombie entered the door, Chu Xiang stabbed the fruit knife into its head from the side, killing one of them instantly. She grabbed the zombie's collar and used it as a shield, then stabbed the second zombie's eye with the fruit knife, killing it in one stab. Then she pushed the 2 zombies away. There were still 2 zombies behind her. They were pushed to the ground and were pressed under the dead zombies. They struggled to reach out their hands to Chu Xiang. They opened their mouths and roared ferociously. Chu Xiang rushed over and quickly stabbed each of them in the head, and there was no other sound in the room. She ran to close the anti-theft door, and sat down on the ground while gasping for breath. Her hands were slightly trembling because of the pain. This bodies haven't been through cultivation. Even if she attached some spiritual power to her hands, this kind of strength still hurt. The fruit knife's edge has been bent. Chu Xiang gasped for breath and looked through every room in the house, but didn't find any food. Fortunately, the water's running and it looked clean, so she wouldn't die of thirst. Now she was safe for the time being. After checking the doors and windows, she took a cold shower and found a comfortable vest and thick elastic jeans to wear. Then she found a loose denim jacket, which wouldn't restrict her movements and would be convenient for fighting. She also found leather shoes and leather fingerless gloves. Although it was hot, it wouldn't be so easy to be bitten or scratched. She also took out her hiking bag and searched for all the things she thought she could use and put them in the bag. After doing all this, she sat on the ground and began to cultivate. She didn't know how many years she had lived in the cultivation world, so she knew countless cultivation methods. She quickly found the most suitable cultivation method according to the aptitude of this body and began to cultivate. Because she already had spiritual power in her body, she could draw spiritual power into her body very quickly. With the nourishment of spiritual power, although she was still very hungry, she didn't feel so hungry. After cultivating for 2 nights, Chu Xiang successfully cultivated to the first level of qi refining. Compared to ordinary people, her speed and strength were a lot greater. Her 5 senses were a lot more sensitive, and even her body was a lot lighter. Chu Xiang clenched her fist, smiled, got up and combed her shoulder-length hair into a high ponytail, and looked in the mirror. This body was 165 centimeters tall, with a curvy front and back and a hot body. It was covered a lot by her loose denim jacket, but it couldn't cover her white and beautiful face. She had an oval face, big eyes, double eyelids, curly eyelashes, a high nose bridge and bright red lips. Her face was indeed very beautiful, and could be ranked in the top 3 of the entertainment industry's beauties. However, in the apocalypse it was too eye-catching. Chu Xiang looked in the mirror for a while, took a cap and a mask, and planned to go to a nearby shopping mall. There was everything. The ground floor was super shang, and the fourth floor was Gourmet City. She was lucky she could find a lot of good things, but if there were too many zombies, she would find another place. From the original owner's memory, zombies had already appeared for a month, and the police and army hadn't come to solve the problem, so the government couldn't be relied on. The zombies outside would only increase, and she had to find a base to survive. She wore a watch to make it easier to see the time. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so she could go to the shopping mall and find a good place to settle down before dark. She took a last look at the place where she transmigrated, carried her bag, took a baseball bat and went out the door. The zombies didn't walk fast, so Chu Xiang went around them if she could, and if she couldn't, she would use the baseball bat to kill the zombies. There were 1 or 2 zombies or bitten corpses on the road in the downtown area, so it was inconvenient to drive. Chu Xiang ran while observing the surrounding situation, and saw a bicycle with variable speed. She immediately ran over to kill the nearby zombies, and rode the bicycle on the road. This was much faster. Chu Xiang nimbly shuttled between the zombies, and when she met a large number of zombies, she would turn into the road to go around them, and soon arrived at the shopping mall. The glass on the first floor of the shopping mall was broken, but the strange thing was that there weren't many zombies inside. She parked the bicycle, and quickly went into the shopping mall to find suitable clothes and weapons, and didn't expect to find a handgun at the stairs. She held the handgun and went downstairs, wanting to go to the supermarket to find something to eat, when she suddenly heard the roar of zombies and a man's angry shout. It was the sound from the warehouse. Chu Xiang's footsteps paused, and quietly walked towards the warehouse. She didn't know if the shopping mall was closed during the catastrophe, but there weren't many zombies in the mall, and occasionally she would see a zombie that had already been killed. There were more than 20 zombies outside the warehouse, and all of them were trying to squeeze in. When the zombies were moving, Chu Xiang saw that the warehouse door was blocked from the outside with iron rods. The person inside was cursing in a low voice. "You think I will die? I swear I will go back alive and kill you all." This was the first living person that Chu Xiang saw after transmigrating, and listening to his words, it seemed that he was killed by someone and his ability was not bad. She thought for a moment, it's not good to be a lone ranger in the apocalypse. It's best to form a team. This dress is worth looking at, and saving a life is also easier to attract people's hearts. She looked at the zombies. With her Qi refining stage 1 cultivation, it's easy to kill them. She immediately decided to save the person inside. She put the handgun behind her waist, took out 2 awls, 1 in each hand, and rushed up to kill 2 zombies and then 2 more. The zombies heard the movement, and found that there was a living person closer, so they all turned towards Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang grabbed the zombie in front of her and threw it into the next room, and ducked to avoid the zombie's hand, and with a sweep of her long legs, she tripped 7 or 8 zombies. She used an awl to kill 1 zombie, and in the blink of an eye, she killed several zombies. The man in the warehouse was tied to a chair, and was trying to use broken glass to cut the rope. Suddenly he heard something wrong and looked up. The disgusting zombies in the crack of the door all turned around, and there was also the sound of fighting. He was suddenly ecstatic. "Help! Shut up!" Chu Xiang shouted and finally rushed to the door. She tore off the iron bar of the door, turned around and smashed a zombie's head, pushed the door open, and threw a dagger she just found to the man. "Catch!" The man hurriedly blocked it with his body, and then fell to the ground with the chair to get the dagger. His hands had been cut by the glass, but he didn't seem to feel the pain at all, quickly cut the rope and pulled off the restraint. Regaining his freedom, his face was full of joy, and he looked up to see Chu Xiang fighting with the zombies, and immediately rushed over with the dagger, frowning and cursing. "Disgusting things, you all deserve to die." The man's fighting ability was very strong. Chu Xiang saw that and withdrew from the fight, while looking at the man and observing his skills. In 3 minutes, the man killed the remaining zombies, panting slightly, turned to face Chu Xiang and said seriously, "Thank you for saving me." Chu Xiang crossed her arms and leaned against the wall, looked at him and asked, "How did you get tied up here?" When she mentioned this, Chu Xiang saw that the man's face darkened, and his whole aura changed, as if he wanted to find someone to take revenge. The man said in a deep voice, "Because of the idiotic leader fight, if there is a problem, we can just go our separate ways, but they actually tied me up here to kill me." He cursed and his face was very ugly. "I won't let them go." "How many of them?" "7, there are more than 10 in the camp." "What about you? Are you alone?" The man looked around and found that Chu Xiong really didn't have any companions, and the way he looked at Chu Xiong changed. In the apocalypse, a woman came out alone and her skills were excellent no matter what. It was impressive. Chu Xiong nodded, looked at her watch, it was already 2:30, and walked to the food area. "What are you going to do now?" "Go to the camp to take revenge." Chu Xiong washed her hands with mineral water and opened a can of meat to eat. The man came forward and said, "My brother is in the camp, I have to go back, of course I have to take revenge." "You are alone, do you want to come with me?" "You saved my life, I will do anything you want me to do." "Really?" Chu Xiong looked at him with a smile. "You are not such an honest person, but I don't have any companions now, so I can go with you. Saving you took up a lot of my time, and I haven't collected any supplies yet. Since there are no zombies now, you can find 2 big bags to carry more things." The man was stunned. "Why are you still here? There are not as few zombies upstairs as downstairs. This is the sound of their car when they ran away. It is very dangerous upstairs. I dared to save you alone, and now you don't dare to go with me to find supplies. Okay, let's go." The man looked at her speechlessly and turned to leave. "I don't fall for this trick, but I owe you. My name is Xiao Jin, what is your name?" "Chu Xiong." Chu Xiong took a few big plastic bags and quickly packed compressed biscuits and food with a long shelf life. Xiao Jin looked back and saw that Chu Xiong didn't follow and urged, "Hurry up, I don't know what supplies you want." "Survival supplies, hurry up, I will catch up, don't waste time." Xiao Jin's original intention was to not let Chu Xiong be alone and to consider her safety, but Chu Xiong thought he was wasting time. He cursed and poured half a bottle of water, threw the bottle away, and quickly ran up the stairs. Don't think he owed Chu Xiong a life. Just because Chu Xiong was so good at fighting, it was worth it for him to do these things. When Chu Xiong went to find Xiao Jin with several bags of food, Xiao Jin had already killed several zombies and packed a hiking bag with supplies. Chu Xiong took another bag and packed it, and ran to Xiao Jin's side and casually asked about the camp, showing that she wanted to join. Xiao Jin immediately disdainfully said, "They are a group of idiots, stupid and weak, and also like to question and nitpick. When we find my brother, and take revenge on the people who hurt me, we will leave. We will see." Chu Xiong thought about the handgun she picked up and asked, "Do those people have weapons? Do you know where there are weapons? I picked up a gun on the first floor when I came here." "Gun? It must be that gangster, he took it from a police zombie. There was a police station on the way here, and everyone who came out with us had a gun, that's how we got it." Chu Xiong's eyes lit up. "Passing by the camp? You didn't go to the police station where the guns were, right?" Xiao Jin stopped and looked at her with some surprise. "Several of them couldn't get it, and the 2 of us went to get it? Listen, I admit that you are good at fighting, but there are a lot of zombies in the police station, your idea is stupid." Chu Xiong filled the backpack, zipped it up and looked at him. "We need weapons, and that is the easiest thing to get, and don't you think that this is also revenge on them? They won't be able to find weapons in the future." Xiao Jin stared at Chu Xiong and found that she was actually serious and blurted out, "You are crazy. That is a dead end, I won't go. I still want to save my life to find my brother. I won't go even if I die." "Okay, I'll go by myself. You go get a car to carry these things, and we'll leave this place immediately. When we reach the police station you can drop me off." Chu Xiong simply threw her bag and the bag that had just been filled to the brim to him, letting him be the coolie. Xiao Jin immediately reached out and grabbed her. "Hey, do you want to die? How are you going to go alone?" He saw that Chu Xiong didn't hesitate at all, and really felt that she was crazy, so he was so angry that he cursed a few times in a low voice. But he wasn't the kind of person who would watch his savior die and hide, especially when he was the one who told Chu Xiong the news. He wiped his face hard and helplessly said, I will go with you. Chu Xiong raised her eyebrows and laughed. She could see that Xiao Jin was a very smart person, and not an honest and considerate person. Before, when she asked him to do anything, it was just beautiful words on the surface, not even a promise. But she didn't expect this guy to value the debt of saving his life, at least for her savior. He was willing to risk it all. She liked this kind of person who was unreasonable, and didn't try to persuade her. If she wanted to go, he would go with her. This kind of feeling was very good. The two of them ran out of the mall with their bags, and the number of zombies on the road increased. Xiao Jin asked Chu Xiong to drive the car, and Chu Xiong glanced at his hand. It's easy to drive the car, you go. Don't fight too much, save your strength for when you go to the police station later. It was the first time that Xiao Jin was called weak by someone, but when he thought of Chu Xiong's skills, he didn't argue and let Chu Xiong protect the things. He quickly ran to get a car and drove it over. Chu Xiong stood at the entrance of the mall, an awl in each hand, and quickly killed the zombies one by one while Xiao Jin was putting things in the car. It had only been a month since the apocalypse, and everyone was still immersed in the fear of the end of the world, and didn't really recognize the reality. Most of them were hiding from the zombies, and some people didn't even know that they had to hit the head to kill the zombies. Xiao Jin thought that he was very strong, and that he wasn't afraid of the zombies at all, and his skills were also good. But when he saw Chu Xiong crazily killing zombies with an awl at such a close distance, he couldn't help but feel a little scared. He further understood Chu Xiong's fighting ability, and began to be curious about her past occupation. After putting the things in place, Xiao Jin and Chu Xiong quickly jumped into the car, and the car rushed out quickly. Xiao Jin's driving skills were very good, and the zombies on the road couldn't hinder him at all. He skillfully drove left and right like a race car, and drove to the police station. Xiao Jin felt that he was crazy the whole way, and he actually took Chu Xiong to the police station. There were policemen, prisoners, and many rooms in the police station, and the space was relatively narrow, and it was very dangerous. They were only 2 people, and they actually went to the police station to collect guns. They were really daring. But the closer they got to the police station, the more excited he was. He previously thought that when they went back, they could try going to the police station, but he didn't mention it, and they already plotted against him. He was also careless, and didn't think that he would be plotted against by his companions when dealing with zombies. Otherwise, with just the few of them, it would be a dream to deal with him. Xiao Jin thought of his brother who was still in the camp, and his hands tightened on the steering wheel. He didn't know what those people would do when they went back. Would they lie to his brother, or would they teach him a lesson? Although his brother's skills weren't bad, his personality was relatively simple, and it was very likely that he would be deceived by them. If they wanted to prepare for going back, getting the guns from the police station would definitely be a big help. The more Xiao Jin thought about it, the more he felt that going to the police station was a good idea, and his expression relaxed a little. When the 2 of them arrived at the police station, they quietly snuck in, and each of them quietly took care of the zombies in one direction, and moved into the police station. The 2 of them tried to be as quiet as possible, one using a dagger, and the other using an awl. They killed a few zombies without attracting other zombies. Chu Xiong gestured to Xiao Jin, indicating that the 2 of them should move separately, one to the east, one to the west, and end the battle quickly. Xiao Jin didn't know whether to admire her courage or be glad that she was good at fighting, and he hesitated for 2 seconds before nodding in agreement. The 2 of them counted to 3, and attacked the zombies in both directions at the same time. The somewhat narrow corridor and the zombies that came out from various rooms from time to time were indeed not easy to fight. The 2 of them each had their own methods, and were completely focused on killing the zombies. They didn't know when, but they had already looked through all the rooms on both sides. Chu Xiong found the room where the weapons were kept, and told Xiao Jin to look for the magnetic card to open the door. They almost searched the bodies of all the zombies they killed to get the magnetic card to open the door. There were indeed a lot of guns inside, and there were all kinds of models, but handguns were the most common, and there were also a lot of bullets. Chu Xiong picked 2 handguns and tied them to her waist, and also picked up a rifle, and let Xiao Jin carry the rest to the car. Xiao Jin once again did the hard work, and looked at Chu Xiong leisurely searching for all kinds of tools in the police station, and he shook his head, feeling that he had already gotten used to it. This time he was also willing to do the hard work. These were guns and bullets, which were good things to ensure their safety. The wound on Xiao Jin's hand had been very painful, and after fighting so many zombies in the police station, it had worsened the injury, so this time Chu Xiong was in charge of driving. They went to the pharmacy again, and like sweeping up goods, they collected a lot of medicine, and then went on the road again, quickly leaving the city. After getting rid of the zombies, Chu Xiong opened the car window, took off her hat and mask, untied her hair, and put her arm on the car door, driving with one hand. Her hair draped over her shoulders, occasionally being blown by the wind, making her look a lot softer. Xiao Jin looked at her and raised his eyebrows in surprise and even whistled. "Beauty, no wonder you covered it up so tightly. Hey, we just met, and you took off the protective cover so quickly. Aren't you afraid that I have bad intentions? Right now it's just the two of us." Chu Xiong didn't even think about it and said, "You can't beat me." Xiao Jin choked for a moment, thinking about Chu Xiong's strength and skill in fighting. He really couldn't beat her. Chu Xiong looked at the zombies outside, and her whole body and mind relaxed. For ordinary people, the end of the world might be too scary, but for her, the zombies and puppets she saw when she was a devil cultivator were much more terrifying than these. In the end of the world, the strong were respected, and there were no legal restrictions, so she could definitely relax and enjoy herself here. This was quite interesting. The end of the world had come to an end, so she might as well play to her heart's content. Chu Xiong raised the corner of her mouth, and laughed very wantonly. Wasn't this kind of chaotic world suitable for people like her to live in? She was very insolent in her bones, and when she played, she was crazy enough. Transmigrating to this world was really too good. Xiao Jin saw her laugh, and simply couldn't understand. He looked around the car and saw that it was full of zombies outside. He couldn't help but ask, "What are you laughing about? Is there something interesting?" "Can't I laugh if there's nothing?" Chu Xiong looked at the sunset and laughed. "It's almost over, I'm already looking forward to Ming." Xiao Jin sneered. "Ming? Ming is still a world of zombies. I hope you're still alive." "Right, our car is too conspicuous in the dark, it's like giving snacks to the zombies, so drive faster. Do you know how to drive? If not, then let me, I'm in a hurry to go back. Take the medicine in your hand and rest. When we go to the camp, there will definitely be a conflict, and then you'll have to fight. You don't need to fight for something like driving." Chu Xiong had transmigrated to so many worlds. What hadn't she played? It was just racing, and not only did she know how to do it, she was also very good at it. After Xiao Jin finished, the car immediately sped up. At the same time, the camp that Xiao Jin mentioned was also noisy. Those people obviously couldn't go back, so they deliberately tied Xiao Jin up. They discussed and compared their statements, and the leader Wu Gang came out to speak. "Xiao Cheng, there's something I need to tell you, you better be mentally prepared." Xiao Cheng was sharpening a dagger, and when he heard this, he raised his head and looked back and forth between them a few times. He had a bad premonition, so he stood up and said, "Where's my brother? He didn't come back with you. Where is he? What did he do?" Wu Gang said apologetically, "Sorry, he didn't come back. When we were gathering supplies and escaping, he was bitten by a zombie, and didn't want to come back, and stayed in the city alone, waiting for death." Xiao Cheng had an impatient temper, and immediately grabbed his collar and angrily said, "He was bitten? So you left him there alone to die? Calm down." Wu Gang frowned and pushed him, and the others also came forward to help. "Xiao Cheng, you can't calm down like this, we don't want your brother to be bitten. What's going on with my brother being bitten? You guys did it." Xiao Cheng held the dagger tightly, and stood in front of them, angrily staring at them as he questioned, "How can I not know what my brother is capable of? You guys were all bitten, but he wasn't bitten. Who are you trying to fool? What did you guys do to my brother? Where is he?" Wu Gang didn't expect the usually simple Xiao Cheng to be so sharp. Maybe this sensitivity came from Xiao Cheng's absolute trust and understanding of Xiao Jin, and he saw through some flaws, but this was very unfavorable for them. There were still a dozen people following them in the camp, and they all wanted to maintain a good image. Wu Gang purposely showed an angry face. What do you mean? You suspect that we did it to him? That's right. It's impossible that my brother didn't come back. You guys definitely left him behind on purpose. I'll kill you guys. Xiao Cheng's voice didn't even finish as he pounced on Wu Gang, waving the dagger in his hand. Hurry up and stop him. Wu Gang shouted and started fighting with Xiao Cheng. The others helped to knock Xiao Cheng's dagger away, but Xiao Cheng's skills weren't much worse than his brother's, and his fist made Wu Gang's nose bleed. Wu Gang was really angry, and together with the others they fiercely fought back. Not long after, Xiao Cheng's mouth was bruised, and his body was hit countless times. Xiao Cheng didn't even try to defend, and used all his strength to hit them non-stop, and the few of them fought in a chaotic mess. Xiao Cheng was angry and worried when he thought of his brother being alone in the city, but he couldn't get his brother's location, so he almost crazily hit them. In the camp, there were old people, men, women, and children. A dozen people saw them fighting, and all of them shouted from the side, advising them to stop fighting. No one dared to stop a fight, and there were even girls who were scared to tears. They couldn't understand, and when they advised, they said, "It's already the end of the world, and we don't even have 20 people in the camp. Why are we still fighting like this? If you guys have the strength to fight zombies, isn't it good?" Xiao Qing angrily said, "Shut up, you bunch of scum. When my brother and I were hunting and sharing the meat with you, all of you were eating happily. Now that my brother has been harmed by them, you guys don't even have a good word to say." Of course, everyone felt uncomfortable being criticized like this, and they couldn't help but say, "No one wants this to happen, we can't change it." "Xiao Cheng, you're too agitated now, calm down, don't fight anymore." Xiao Cheng wouldn't listen to them. He didn't like all of them now. At this moment, someone suddenly pointed at a car in the distance and said in shock, "Someone's coming. Quick, stop fighting, someone's coming, who is it?" Everyone panicked and looked at the road. There was indeed a car getting closer and closer. Wu Gang let go of Xiao Cheng and shouted, "Everyone hide in the RV, don't come out until it's safe. You guys stay on guard with me, quick." The few of them pointed their guns at the approaching car, and Xiao Cheng also rushed into the tent to grab a hunting gun, and held it up to be on guard. He didn't know if the person was a friend or foe, but he still had to stay alive to go to the city to find Xiao Jin. Nothing could happen to him. When the car got closer, Xiao Cheng's eyes widened in shock. He found that the person in the front passenger seat was Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin got angry when he saw Wu Gang and the others, and when the car stopped, he pushed open the door and jumped out, pointing his gun at them as he approached step by step. "You guys didn't expect me to still be alive, did you? You still dare to point your gun at me, heh? Xiao Qing, come here. Kill them." Wu Gang and the others' expressions changed. They didn't expect Xiao Jin to come. They glanced at Chu Xiong in the driver's seat, and saw that it was a woman wearing a hat and a mask, so they instinctively didn't pay attention to her, and only stared at Xiao Jin, their minds quickly thinking of a solution. Xiao Cheng saw that Xiao Jin was safe, and his heart instantly calmed down. "Xiao Jin, I knew you bastard wouldn't die. You wouldn't die even if everyone else died." He pointed his hunting gun at Wu Gang and the others, and slowly moved towards Xiao Jin. Wu Gang and the others became even more nervous. The person who came wasn't a stranger, but Xiao Jin. They didn't know if they were lucky or unlucky. They were now afraid of Xiao Jin's revenge. Wu Gang tried to explain, "We didn't mean to leave you there. None of us wanted this to happen. Can we put down our weapons now and talk calmly? There's a misunderstanding here." "Hey, you're admitting defeat so quickly," Xiao Jin mocked. "Look at your nervous faces, now you know you messed with the wrong people." Xiao Qing looked at him seriously and frowned. "You weren't bitten, right? They said you were bitten by zombies and didn't want to come back, waiting for death in the city. I don't believe a single word." He walked closer and saw that Xiao Jin's hands had several wounds, and his anger immediately rose. Xiao Jin, what happened to your hands? Did they do this too? Xiao Jin coldly said. Bitten? They actually wanted me to be bitten. They tied me up in the warehouse and pinned the warehouse door, letting me wait for death there. There were more than 20 zombies outside the door. I would have died even if I didn't come out. They really wanted to kill me, much more than killing zombies. Wu Gang and the others looked at each other and said, Calm down first, let's talk clearly. Jin. Xiao Cheng angrily said. Bullshit. You guys are good, so many people discussed to harm my brother before letting him go to the city, and let me stay in the camp. You guys planned this for a long time, right? He looked at Xiao Jin and asked, Brother, are you really okay? Are you hurt? Xiao Jin thought about the great harvest this time and his mood improved. I'm completely fine, the higher-ups sent a girl to save me. Xiao Cheng's expression immediately became indescribable. What are you talking about? What girl saved you? Chu Xiang looked a little impatient in the car. She thought that Xiao Jin would directly kill those people as soon as he got out of the car. It seemed that the rule of law had just ended a month ago, and they still couldn't do it. That's right, before Xiao Jin was tied up in the warehouse, wasn't it because those people couldn't do it, and didn't directly kill Xiao Jin? Chu Xiang pushed open the door and got out of the car, holding a gun in her hand, which immediately attracted everyone's attention. Especially those hiding in the RV. They didn't understand, why would a girl like Chu Xiang get out of the car with a gun? Xiao Jin looked back and his tone softened a lot. Go back to the car and wait for a while, I'll be right back. It's almost dark, wait for me to take over this camp, and I'll let you rest well. Everyone was surprised by Xiao Jin's attitude, especially the women in the camp. They had never been in Xiao Jin's eyes, interacting with them. Xiao Jin looked at them as if they were flowers and trees. When had he ever been so good to women? At the same time, his words made everyone nervous. They all looked at Wu Gang, who was right and who was wrong. If something happened to them, what would happen to the camp? Who would protect them? Chu Xiang stepped forward and stood between the two brothers. If you want to talk calmly, why don't you put down your guns first? After all, your attitudes are very unfriendly. Are you going to compare whose shooting skills are better now? Use gunshots to attract a group of zombies. If you don't plan to shoot, put down your guns and use your fists to solve it. Hurry up. Wu Gang frowned and looked at her in astonishment. Xiao Cheng turned his head to look at the petite woman who was a head shorter than him. Her oversized clothes hung on her body, and it did not fit in with the shotgun. She looked like a child who had stolen Big Rao clothes and gun. He looked at Xiao Jin as if he was looking at an idiot. Xiao Jin, is this the girl who saved you? Sent by the higher-ups to save you. Has your brain been eaten by zombies? What's the big deal? Xiao Jin laughed. My dear little brother, don't look at Chu Xiang, she's so strong that even I don't dare to provoke her. Xiao Qing obviously thought he was talking nonsense. He looked at Chu Xiang again, who knew that he would meet Chu Xiang's gaze. Chu Xiang glanced at the dust on his body and the bruises on his mouth. You're Xiao Jin's little brother? You were beaten by them. Only then did Xiao Jin see that there were injuries under the dust on Xiao Cheng's face, and his face was immediately filled with hostility. Wu Gang saw that the situation was out of control. He hurriedly said, We really don't mean to be merciful, there's a misunderstanding here. Xiao Cheng was too excited when he heard that you didn't come back, so he couldn't talk properly. We just wanted him to calm down, there's no other meaning. Xiao Jin didn't want to attract zombies, so he threw away the gun in his hand and said coldly, Solve the problem with fists. All of you come together. That you're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.